Gamescom is officially underway.
Let's raise the stakes, shall we?
Today we're checking out some of the biggest games of the year, including
Where is he?
Star Wars Outlaws, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle,
And who the f are you?
Stalker 2, and more. Gamescom Studio live on IGN starts right now.
Watch me.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Gamescom Studio Day 2. I'm Damon, this is Stella, and that's Max.
Welcome. As you can see, the Gamescom floor is now officially open for business, and we've got tons of awesome stuff lined up for today, from gameplay demos and interviews with devs right here on our stage in Hall 7, to all the stuff going on everywhere else in all the other halls.
Yeah, coming up very shortly, we're talking to the developers of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and then playing around with a replica of the Pip-Boy from Prime Video's Fallout series. Later on, we're going to see Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 in action, as well as a look of some of the new content coming to Payday 3.
Before we get to all that, though, let's take a second to acknowledge that the biggest video game event on the planet also cares about the planet. Thanks to the Gamescom Goes Green initiative, Gamescom runs on 100% renewable energy. In addition to participating in Gamescom's carbon offset program, exhibitors are also doing their part by building more sustainably, reusing portions of their booths, and avoiding single-use material.
And even better, the Gamescom forest continues to grow, and more trees have been planted thanks to donations from attendees and exhibitors alike. You can find out more about Gamescom's sustainability efforts and find out how to do your part at Gamescom.global.
We're going to check in on everyone's favorite fedora-wearing archaeologist in just a second, but first, let's check in with Ian, one of our intrepid reporters running around the Gamescom shore floor. Hey!
I'm out on the show floor at Gamescom today, and it is absolutely bustling. But despite the name, Gamescom isn't just about the games, because I'm going to be checking out this Pip-Boy 3000 Mark V replica that is based on the exact one that Lucy wears on the TV show. I'm also going to be heading outside to chat to you lot who are still queuing up and waiting to play the games. Which games do you really want to play the most? I'll be finding out. Then later on, Max is going to be talking to the developers of Dune Awakening, and we've played Monster Hunter Wilds. What do we think of the game? You can find out later on. Plus, I talked to the developers of The Eternal Life of Goldman, which looks like the old NES game DuckTales mixed with an existential nightmare. Honestly, there's so much going on here at the show today, so let's go check it all out.
You're watching Gamescom 2024 right here on IGN. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle takes one of the most iconic movie heroes of all time and gives him his own globe-trotting video game adventure.
Here to tell us all about it are Axel Torvinius and Jens Andersson from Machine Games. Hey guys, welcome.
Hello.
Hey, thank you. Nice to be here.
Well, thanks for joining us.
So, comedy is a really important part of the Indiana Jones movies. Comedic timing in video games is not necessarily the easiest thing to nail. How did you guys manage to work that into the Great Circle?
There are several different ways how we try to implement that component, because as you say, it's a truly key beat to hit the tone of Indiana Jones and making sure that it has the correct vibe. It's also super important for us that it doesn't become comedy.
Right.
So it needs to just have the right amount of it to feel right. And there are several parts to it. One is, of course, within the narrative, how things are written in terms of cutscenes and dialogue and VO. And then performance by Troy Baker to make sure that that is delivered. But we also communicate that component in the smallest detail. It can be in the minute-to-minute gameplay, in hand-to-hand combat, in subtle animation, a lot of different small components that all together comes together balanced, and then feel the feel of that comedy is there.
Yeah, it's all about finding that tone, right? Finding a banjo in the world that you can smack people with, or things like that.
At the same time as the comedy, some of the most iconic, like most memorable moments from the classic Indiana Jones films are really horrifying, like really scary, like some of the most memorable moments in cinema, in fact. How do you approach horror in your game?
It's been a balance, to say, for sure, because we are really focusing on making sure that adventure comes first. But as you say, there's a sense of horror in there as well. So we've been trying to get moments throughout gameplay where it becomes a little bit creepier, it becomes a little bit eerie, and the game pauses a bit, slow down. But finding that balance between the cinematic big beats, set pieces, and then the horror components. That has been a tricky balance, but I think we're on a very good spot at the moment with hitting the balance right.
Did you find that you were sort of taking inspiration from elements from each of the films? Like, were there things in all of them where you said, like, we want a little bit of this from Temple of Doom, we want a little bit of this from Raiders?
Primarily, the main reference is Raiders of the Lost Ark. So that's the one we've been dissecting the most. But all three early movies are important reference to us.
I noticed the boulder from Raiders is back. Is this thing just stalking him for his entire life? How did that ball return?
I don't know what we're saying about that, actually.
Well, there's more of that to see when the game is out. So we have a little tease of it, but there are some familiar aspects in the game for sure.
All right. From some of the levels we've seen so far, some of them look really quite open. Are there numerous ways to complete your objectives? Like, can you talk about some of those?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The game in its whole is a mix between more linear section and more open-ended big areas. And in those open-ended areas, you can absolutely choose what missions to tackle, and there are also multiple ways to do that. Like, we have a lot of different options in terms of stealth, hand-to-hand combat, even gun combat, traversing around using your whip. So we try to give the player agency to allow, like, what would Indy do here, and let you role play almost as Indiana Jones and try to accomplish the mission as you see fit.
Right.
Does that sort of speak to the larger philosophy of like replaying the game and stuff like that, giving people like the sort of the option of going back in a second time and maybe going, hey, I'm going to go this one a little more guns blazing or a little more stealth?
Well, actually for this game, because it's so open-ended, we're thinking about replayability a little bit different than, for example, the Wolfenstein titles. In this game, we allow you to go back and revisit previous areas to really explore all the content there is there and to 100% the game. And we have the journal, which is a key tool for this game, that you basically, it starts blank and you fill it out with your whole journey, your whole adventure goes in there, every photo that you take, every note that you find, and the idea is that when that's fully complete, that's when you've 100% of the game and see everything that game has to offer.
So when you say revisit areas, do you mean like travel back to an area or more like a chapter select?
It's more like a chapter select. There's a tweak to it. We allow you to bring back any abilities or equipment that you have unlocked. So it's kind of it's a narrative break in some ways, but it's really good for being able to explore and exhaust everything that there is into the game.
Go for it.
The game is at point very big, so there is plenty of opportunities for exploration, and that's something we constantly try to push the player to indulge in. And as you go along, you will find, oh, there are things that I maybe missed, there are things that I want to revisit, there are things that I want to explore more.
And it's really important as well because we leave a lot of content here as optional. Like, the story is really, really important, and for the people who just want to explore that, the game is going to be shorter, but for the people who want to experience everything, there's a lot of things to explore, and it's a really big game.
You mentioned the sort of like unlocking abilities. I want to kind of tug on that a little bit because that sounds really cool to me. Indiana Jones is like, he's sort of the same guy through all of the movies, but in a video game that would get boring after a while. So tell me about these, like how he's learning more and adapting and learning new moves and stuff.
So throughout the game, you will find these adventure books. These are books that are in the world, like interesting books that each one of them contain an ability. And you can unlock that ability using adventure points. And adventure points is something you find by exploration, by completing mysteries and missions and finding these notes and filling out your journal. So it's almost like kind of a skill system, skill tree.
Awesome. Well, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle looks amazing. You guys announced a release date the other day, December 7th?
December 9th.
9th. I was trying to get there 2 days early. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you.
That segment went so well, I think it belongs in a museum. Thank you all so much for joining us. We can't wait for this game.
Stick around because we've got lots more Gamescom coverage ahead right here on IGN.
I noticed that you have an assortment of Vault-Tec equipment.
If you are a fan of the Fallout TV show, or even better, a Fallout cosplayer, Pip, boy, do I have an extra special thing to show you right now, because I'm here with Chris Bernardo from the Wand Company, who has created this amazing Pip-Boy 3000 Mark V replica based on the TV show that Lucy wears, right?
Absolutely. 100% based on it, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, it is modelled exactly on the one that Lucy wears, which is the male version, because although the front was the same, Lucy's arm was smaller, so she had a slightly narrower wrist.
Right.
So slightly bigger one of those. Except the one in the show has a phone behind it, which was what gives you the screen, whereas this one's all built in. It's a proper screen, everything working. You can adjust it. I mean, you can see at the moment we're looking at Vault Boy walking. We can adjust his. Let's do that gently. You can see him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Using the knob at the sides.
The animation's changing.
Yeah.
What kind of screen is it? It's nice and bright.
It is. Yeah, it's a colour actually, although we only show monochrome with this case, but it's an LCD.
And what kind of materials is it built out of? I know you got the LCD screen, but you want something solid to keep it safe.
Yeah, you do. So the whole of this front portion here is die cast in zinc.
Okay.
And then that's really lovely. The screen itself is made of this plastic called Tritan, which is a very glass-like plastic.
Yeah.
And then the back of it is made in ABS. If you'd made the whole thing in zinc, it would be much too heavy. But you can feel the weight of it anyway. It's got quite a weight.
There's a weight. Not too unmanageable.
Yeah, it's
nice.
It didn't feel right, but you wouldn't want to have something as solid metal on.
Yeah, I'm quite an old school technology kind of person. I like big clicky clacky buttons and things you can twist and turn that click.
Yeah.
Is there clicking style?
Oh, there is mechanisms here. This is so cool. So in the clock, if we want to set the clock, we'll go to maintenance.
Yep.
We'll go down to set the clock.
I can see that kind of like a nice little.
Well, look at this. And here we go. You have tried.
Did you click in the button? Oh yeah, it's got a nice click to the lever across.
Just try rolling it round. You see how?
Oh wow, yeah.
Beautiful. So
that feels great.
You'll see that the radio light also lights up a warm color as well. And by turning the radio here, or here, you tune it.
I mean, this is one of my favorite features, that you can actually tune into real FM radio.
Yeah, you can. So in here, in the big hall, there's like a great big microwave oven. I don't know if we'll be able to tune in so easily, but when you do, you get this is the waveform of the music.
The actual waveform from the signal. Amazing.
And you also have KPSS radio, and then if you press the button, we can't hear it again. It is phenomenally noisy in here, but what you get is DJ Carl,
amazing,
horrible little scratchy violins.
Now, obviously, the best thing about this replica is that it is a product that you can own. You can even pre-order it right now at store.ign.com, and it comes in this beautiful box as well.
Yeah, it's got actually a really nice packing box that goes around it. It's really lovely. Yeah.
So this really is the best thing a Fallout fan could own, and in fact, I really want to own it now as well. Can I give it a go? Can I?
I think so. I think you need to be in the kit, the outfit.
Okay, I can sort that out. All right, Chris, strap it on me.
Well, okay, you are okay. Yeah, absolutely.
There we go. You're on the moment of truth.
He's almost trembling with excitement.
I am. I feel like I'm part of the show already.
Here we go. Let's just clip it into place.
A nice big chunky click. And look at that. That weight feels great, actually. Now, I better be careful not to drop this one on the floor. Otherwise, it's going to be your vault.
Get it?
Yeah. Well, this feels great. This looks great. So, Fallout fans, remember to head on over to store.ign.com and place your pre-order right now.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there. period. And by high-tech, we mean it. We've recently added features like personal notes that save to your IGN account, and anything you check off on a map is tracked in the guide as well. It's the perfect system to get to 100%. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing for free at IGN Maps today.
IGN Store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed to find something you love. There are new and exciting products hitting the store every week, like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. Plus, high-quality IGN Store exclusives like the powerful and spicy Star Wars Darkside Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning in to the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part? You don't even need to leave the house to go there. Just head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. The IGN Store.
Welcome to 15th century Bohemia, where civil war runs rampant across medieval Europe and clashing steel and armor is just part of day-to-day life. Here to talk about all things Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is international PR manager from Warhorse Studio, Toby Stoltz-Villing. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You came bearing gifts somewhat. This is the collector's edition, which was just revealed. It's clearly very impressive. These two are not included, unfortunately, but a lot of stuff is included. Can you kind of show us what comes in the box?
Well, it's very precious, so I took my guard. I see your guys' eyes here, but hey, it's a collector's edition, of course, with the great stuff in there. However, all those items are actually have some connection to the game. So, of course, Henry on a horse, Pebbles, right? The main character of the game with exchangeable weapons. So either you have the St. George here killing the dragon. Well, there's no good dragon in KCD, of course. But if you want to do that, or rather have Henry with a little sword, that's cool. However, this letter here also has some, it's not some, hey, thank you for having us and thank you for buying the collector's edition. That's actually a letter. You know, in KCD 1, the game ends with you getting a letter which you are supposed to carry to that castle and ask the lords if they're on your side or not. In KCD 2, you still have that letter, but in the beginning, everything goes south, you lose it. You theoretically know what's inside, but you never open it. However, if you have the collector's edition, then you get the real deal, the real letter, and you will actually find out what the lords of Ratai and so on, what they actually want from you.
Oh.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Get it yourself.
I love that. It's kind of like an invitation into the
yes,
game almost.
Absolutely. And of course, last but not least, a map of Kuttenberg, Kuttner Horror, because that one is the big addition to Kingdom Come Deliverance, and also it was the biggest challenge to put in the game because it has thousands of NPCs there with daily cycles.
You built a
and
city.
everything.
It's
Absolutely.
impressive. Also, is there a lock on there?
Well, there's a love and hate relationship with our lockpicking mechanism. So I said, hey, you know what? Let's put a lockpicking mechanism on top. Don't worry, everyone. Right? You don't have to put out your lockpicks and start to do something there. It's just like a memento.
I love it. This is a very thoughtful
times.
collector's edition. Now let's take a look at the game itself. You just showed off gameplay very recently. We've got, I believe, a chunk of it to check out here. Set the stage. What's going on for us here? What's going on?
So first of all, we are seeing here something is going on. They want to hang someone, actually someone from the Devil's Pack, because in KCD2 now, Henry can't deal with the things himself anymore. He needs a group of friends. In KCD1, you're pretty much alone and just dealing with local nobles and bandits and I don't know what. In KCD2 now, you're going in the bigger stages where kings are involved, where armies are involved. And Henry, I sometimes say that in KCD1, Henry was the champion of the Sunday League, and now in KCD2, he's like supposed to play in the Premier League, but well, he knows the sport, but he needs to learn more and get bigger and better. And he will quickly realize that he needs friends and that he needs a gang to push everything forward. And the poor fellow we saw there is Komar, or Mosquito, and he didn't look that well, but let's see how that's going on.
Now we've got the map pulled up here. How big is this compared to the original?
Well, that really depends. I mean, we say twice the size. However, it depends which numbers you're comparing there. But generally, two big maps. One is a tiny bit smaller, one is a tiny bit bigger. One is more countryside, as you can see here. Deep forests, huge sandstone formation, really wonderful. This reminds us a little bit of KCD1, of course, because someone said that we have the nicest forests there are in video games. But the second map is the one that will invite you to Kutna Hora, which is today a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and that will be more industrious. There will be silver mining going on. The armies and the kings and everyone will be there.
Now we have some gameplay a little further on that's going to show all the NPCs and how they interact with Henry. But what's going on right now? I guess what are we doing in town right now?
Absolutely. So this is one of the earlier quests in the game where you have to find a few guys which you heard they're here somewhere around this pub playing dice with the local people here. However, dice and any sort of gambling, of course, is a problem today, was a problem back in the time, so he got into some trouble with these fellows here, and they will tell you, hey, yeah, we know where you do this, just follow us in a few seconds, he's right around the corner. The point is that the game is a tiny little bit more talkative, let's say, right? Everyone has a lot of things to say. However, you can't skip those things. You don't have to do that. You can delve into it, but there's always a way how to get to the end really quickly. And we are now trying to find that guy that owes us.
Okay. Now, it's a role-playing game. Choices matter. Tell us about that. Tell us about the branching path and player choice here.
Oh, yeah. So, in KCD, it's really not about the 100 different endings or whatever. The point is how you get there. That's important, right? Every quest, not every, most of them, many of them, can be solved in different ways. That means, well, Spartacus, sword ahead, or speech dialogue, speech skill, and so on. Well, of course, that's not unique. Other games have this as well. However, your choices will absolutely and will change the outcome of the quest and the way how they play through. For instance, you spare some dudes that are apparently trying to attack you and kill you. You don't know who they are. You spare them. They run off, and later in the game you might meet them, and they might actually help you because those guys weren't bad. They were just it was a bad misunderstanding. However, if you cut them right away, then of course they will be gone and so on. But these are the small ones. There can be big things, moral choices where Henry really decides who lives and who dies, and
now,
that's big.
It looks like Henry's gotten himself in deep doo-doo, actually. Tell us about this. Where are we?
Well, we found that dude that owes us, and we were apparently not the only one who he owed to. So he said, yeah, we have that dude here, who sank in pig shit, unfortunately, behind the local pub. So poor Henry had to crawl through the doo-doo and get him out there because he had something on him, a precious bow, and the dudes want the bow, but Henry is like, no, guys, I went through the doo-doo, that's my precious element now, and in a few seconds combat will start.
Now, do you need to have played the first game to jump into this one?
We tried extremely hard, and I hope we nailed it, to make sure that you absolutely do not need to know anything about Kingdom Come Deliverance in order to enjoy the second game. In the beginning, we tell you the bare necessary information. This is you, that's your friend, this is the letter, that's the castle you have to go. Good luck, have fun. The rest is coming with nightmares Henry is having. They're in dialogues that will tell you, hey, listen, how did this and that turned out, and so on. And these things will be slowly but steadily brought to you. Never with fist in your face, but really smoothly, so that even old fans of the genre of KCD will not feel like, oh, dude, I saw that already, I'm bored.
Very nice. Full disclosure, I checked out the first game. I'm very early in it, but the second one is what got my attention. So I'm doing a little bit of research ahead of time. But let's talk about the combat here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we are still trying to depict the historical martial arts from Central Europe or Middle Ages in Europe generally. And we had real sword fighters in the studio and mace fighters and so on who showed us how it's supposed to look like. We told them why this is not possible in a video game, because you need those broad moves and everything. But still, I think we have a very good compromise and the closest you can get to actual sword fighting. However, in KCD1, people said, some of the feedback was it's easy to learn but hard to master. We nailed the hard to master, the easy to learn not so much. So in KCD2, like with everything else we did in the first part, we smoothed it out, made it nicer and just easier and more accessible. So even the combat was revamped. It's still an evolution, not a revolution. It's the same as it was before, just more accessible with more options to choose from.
The choice is a big part of this, and we're seeing some of the different ways you can approach stuff in this montage right here. We got a glimpse of a crossbow, we got some stealth, we saw a firearm.
Absolutely, and we also saw that it can go super south when you're like in the stocks there. So the early gunpowder weapons is something that became slowly but steadily popular on medieval battlefields around 1403, a bit earlier, a bit later. So this is something that we also added to the game. However, KCD is not becoming a shooter all of a sudden. Very important. It's still an RPG which focuses on melee combat. However, those super weapons, let's call them super weapons, is more something like a ultimate weapon, right? You fire once, you kill him in one shot, and then you switch to your melee weapon and go ahead. And to make this a little bit easier, we made it easier also for players to change weapons in combat and so on, that you can really have kind of sets that you can pre-prepare and so on to make it just more smoother and feel better.
Now, what's Henry up to? We just saw him. He was in. He got covered in pig excrement. How does that affect his reputation and his experience in the game?
So the goal is that all the NPCs in the world are living and breathing Earth. They do something, they go somewhere, and they will react to you as well. So if you are covered in pig excrement, then they will react to you. They will say, dude, you stink, or stealth will be harder, or the speech skill will be harder to pass, and so on. So these things really affect you, and you as Henry, or you as the gamer, have to then take care of yourself. Don't be afraid. This is not a survival game all of a sudden as well. It's like these little elements there, the details that make this game so great and so immersive, because that is what we want actually. You see on screen that Henry is going through doo-doo, so of course he's supposed to be dirty and stinky and whatever and needs to take care of it. So where to go? Bathhouse.
What are the different options here in the bathhouse? we don't have to go into that right now, I suppose, but it's a mature game. I want to talk about the historical accuracy, because I get the sense you've done a little bit of research into how things used to be.
Absolutely. So everything we do is based on, well, we want to make it as authentic as possible. So this is still not a simulation, and this is not a 100% realistic, that's exactly how it was. It's the closest we can get in the limitations we have creating a video game. And that is what we do first and foremost. But we have a full-time historian in the team. She's working with museums, the mayor of Kuttenberg himself, reenactors, universities, and so on, and gather this information from those people who know this infinitely better than us. And then together we're coming up with the best possible compromise to still be fun, interesting gameplay and so on, and push everything forward. So yeah, we're trying to make it authentic, but keep in mind it's just a video game.
Now, it's also a very cinematic video game. I appreciate that it's all first person, but then we get to see Henry from the outside. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I think, well, it's of course an action RPG, but the story part, the epic story that we are trying to tell there is, in my opinion, the bread and butter of the game. It's like a playable Netflix series or something like that. Really, it's really epic. You can change the outcomes. You can have your impact in that. You can see how everything turns out, and it's full of cinematics and cutscenes, of course, to make this interesting and make it awesome and give you this feel of this bombastic, epic experience you can have there. So that's definitely a big thing.
Now, tell us a little bit about Kuttenberg. How much time will Henry spend getting to know the city, and what kind of adventures are we going to have?
Kuttenberg was definitely the biggest challenge for us as a team. It has hundreds of buildings, thousands of NPCs, so we've never done anything like that. And for the guys who played KCD1 and maybe can remember Rattay, well, Rattay is just a street in Kuttenberg, so this is like, that was a huge thing for us. And Henry, of course, and it's occupied by the invading king, so danger is everywhere around. It's a huge medieval city that is a silver mining town, so it's rich, so there's riches to go and find, adventure to find, and a lot of side quests, mini games, dark alleys. And as I said, the king is the invading king is sitting there right now, and as you are part of a guerrilla force, maybe you have to do a lot of guerrilla tactics there.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, Toby, thank you so much for joining us. Step into the grooves of Henry of Skalitz when Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 comes to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC on February 11th, 2025. Coming up next, a look at a few more games in the PlayOn family, including Undisputed, Akimbot, and Nobody Wants to Die.
Can I ask you something personal? Do you believe in life after death?
I'm 120 years old, and I don't have any strength left to keep recalling the past.
All those innocent souls.
Sure, just let me make a blood sacrifice to the Wi-Fi gods!
Refusing to give up.
You know, a guy once told me, don't let yourself get attached to anything you are not willing to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner. And I don't know what that guy's up to now, but I hope he's playing Payday 3. Here to discuss what's going up next for the co-op heist shooter is Starbreeze Entertainment's Ludwig Hazelius.
Hello.
Hello.
So nice to be here.
I love saying Hazelius. That's
Oh,
such a
you
good
do?
name.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I like it a lot. It's really nice.
I was just saying you had to grow up with it, so I hope you like it.
Yeah, no, I do.
Yeah, so speaking of your name being special, I heard you also have something else special to show us here today.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm really excited to be here, and you know, we are going to show some stuff of our upcoming DLC, Fear and Greed, and you know, it's shed a little bit of light in terms of what we're going to do for Payday in the near future. So really happy to be here to talk about that.
Yeah, so can you walk us through the Payday 3 timeline so far from launch to now? I mean, how exactly has the game changed?
Well, first of all, like from the gates, we had a little bit of a rocky launch, and I mean, it kept us humble, let's say that. So what we kind of did in terms of addressing this was going really back to, you know, what the community wanted and trying to centralize, you know, the feedback that we've been getting and adding content to this. So we started with a strike team to really dig down to this and see what steps we needed to take. And ever since that, we've been going on that route. And I think we're getting there. We're taking steps all the time. So you know, it's a good journey that we've been on. So really appreciate that and the support from kind of the community. You know, during this year, it's been special, and we've been adding multiple things. You know, new solo mode that's in beta now that we're really looking to and hope the players like, so they can really integrate. And also bringing 2 new DLCs, the Boys in Blue, firstly, and then this Houston Breakout now. You know, cosmetics, weapons, among other things. So it's really great.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the Houston DLC? I mean, we know it's really hot there, and that the Payday guys bring the heat. So.
Well, yeah, it definitely is. I mean, as Payday fans would know, it's a big homage to an old Payday 2 heist, where we did a Hoxton breakout. And now, obviously, we have Houston, who is now in trouble. So we need to save him. So it's a massive courthouse that we have to infiltrate. The heisters has to go through there. And he's standing charged to be sentenced to a private prison owned by yours truly, Concord, which for the Payday fans out there will be very acquainted to. You know, as I said before, we're going to release it with all that jazz, with the weapon packs, with 3 new weapons and skins, and 4 suits, masks, and gloves. So what people can expect from our earlier releases, but also, as we've done, as people probably have learned now, we're releasing a free heist called Diamond District. We're really digging down to kind of, homage again to Payday 2. A straightforward heist with a lot of replayability, and we hope our players like it. We're seeing a lot of good results. And a whole slew of other things, which they should go to the Operation Medic Bag site to see. But those are definitely the main ones that we're really excited about to bring out.
I mean, that's a lot. So you talk about player reception. So how do they feel about these new additions? Have you seen any feedback from that yet?
And as I said, that we started this year about going back to kind of the strike team and Operation Medic Bag that we launched. We're really happy. I mean, it's a journey, right? And we've taken definitely steps in the right direction, and we're really helpful for the feedback from the community and the support. So, I mean, it's a step along the way. We're seeing players returning, which is really great, and what we can ask for. So, it's a long journey. It's a marathon for us. So we're just happy we're trending in the right way.
Yeah, I think Payday is known for constantly updating the game, and that's exactly what you're doing, which brings me to the next question. I mean, the DLC for Fear and Greed, what can players expect?
Well, so, I mean, Payday as a franchise and IP has always been about getting in, heisting, getting the money, getting out. Now we are heisting the heart of capitalism. And that's not only like the New York Finance Exchange. So we're hitting it right in the arteries, which is really great. And with that, obviously, we have some new additions that we're really excited about. I know there's been a lot of talk about overkill weapons in the community and whatnot. So we're going to bring out the minigun, which I know is going to be, a big thing for a lot of people out there. And we're really excited about that addition. And as well, I mean, the Houston Breakout. For DLC 4, we're unveiling Houston as a free playable character, and I think that's going to be a great addition to the heister setup.
Yeah, I was going to say, as a player who does not like stealth, the minigun's going to be great for me.
It's hard. It's hard.
Thank you. Yeah. So apart from the DLC, what else can we expect for Payday 3?
Yeah, so going the rest of the year in October, we really have some great updates going out, and specifically the ones that the community has shown a lot of care about. I mean, we have a roadmap. I hope you check that out. But what really we've been going down to is the server browser. It's been talked about a lot. The UI rework and VoIP, so that our heisters can really plan their heists together, and maybe do a little bit more stealth, because it's coordination, right?
I suppose so. Maybe I could be convinced to do stealth, but I mean, it's just really fun to go in loud.
So you're more guns blazing kind of a...
I am. I mean, listen,
nice.
I always try to go stealth, and then it never works out, so thank you so much for joining me today and speaking with us about everything that's happening. So.
Likewise, like it's really good to be here in the studio, and in Gamescom is such a great atmosphere. So we're always happy to have a chat with you guys.
Yes, I hope you enjoy Gamescom. And speaking of Gamescom, be sure to stay tuned for more news on the next chapter of Payday 3 coming soon. And if you haven't, you can get hands-on with Payday 3's latest DLC, Houston Breakout, now on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series consoles.
The average Cinefix movie list features nearly 100 different films and approximately 25 minutes worth of wall-to-wall deep dive analysis. To simulate that pace for this 30-second ad, we're featuring 26 different films, and before you say it, no, that math does not check out. We're not math people, we're movie people. We can't even count down from 10 without ending up at, like, 96. Subscribe to IGN Movies and TV for more Cinefix movie lists. Bad at math, great at movies.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection to the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways, ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN Maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners, and best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there. IGN Maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing today. Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help. IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. You can even track your progress with interactive checklists so you know you reached that 100% completion. IGN has the very best, most complete, and accurate guides. Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
Hyper-realistic shooters with cutting-edge graphics are great and all, but have you ever wanted an FPS that looks like a cartoon from the 1930s? Well, somebody made one.
Here to tell us about Mouse PI for Hire, we're joined by game director Mateusz Mikulak.
Yes.
Is that right?
Right.
And lead producer Maciej Szemian. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, first of all, for someone who is seeing this game for the first time, tell us what we're looking at. What is Mouse PI for Hire?
So basically, it's a blend of all that we love in FPS games. So we are focused on the key elements that make FPS games fun. So the gunplay is very important, but on the other hand, we're going to add some other elements from Metroidvania games, for example. So some upgrades, ability to backtrack and access previously inaccessible areas. So yeah, it's a blend of everything we love in a game, not exactly a boomer shooter, rather something that feels both familiar and fresh at the same time.
I feel like this is way older than boomers. This is like the
grand boomers.
Couple generations earlier than them. Now the Metroidvania aspect, we were talking about this before we started recording, but you've got sort of a grappling hook. Is that his tail?
Yes, that's his tail actually.
Okay. Can we talk about sort of how the levels are structured? Is it kind of different little arenas, corridors, or open world, or how's it?
So it's a blend of all. So some levels will be rather linear, others will be more branching, and yeah, we're experimenting with different styles of level design because we want the game not to get repetitive during as you progress. Yeah.
And what sparked the initial idea for Mouse? Like, are you big fans of 1930s cartoons? Where did the idea come from?
So yeah, the idea was actually, it's quite funny because and Bioshock fan art drawn in rubber hose art style was found online many years ago by our art director, and he did like Bioshock. He does love rubber hose animation style. So he approached Mateusz a couple of years ago and said, hey, why don't we make a game out of this? And Mateusz loved the idea, so banded with just a couple of people. They started working on a prototype, and yeah, basically that's how Mouse was born.
The prototype went pretty viral. Like, people were immediately really attracted to this. And since that was released, you've clearly gone back and tweaked some stuff. Can you sort of point out some of the changes that have been made since that early footage showed up?
Yeah, I believe that the most crucial change is 3D environments. We put a lot of effort to meld the 2D animation with 3D environments. It's quite hard to do it. We believe that we achieved nice goal, and from there we are proceeding and working more about more levels.
Yeah, you may see that we have improved on the 2D animations, but yeah, the 3D is the biggest change so far, especially if you take a look, at our materials from a couple of months ago, because it took us a lot of experiments, given the fact that the game is entirely black and white. So we had to make sure that everything is clear to the player, that the players know what's interactable, what's not, and based on that, we decided what can stay in 3D, in 2D, what can be 3D, and we had to find the perfect blend of everything of that.
Are there any details, like in the animation, in the environments, that you're especially proud of?
Weapons rollings, we really like them. We're really proud of them. There are a lot of them. Right now we showed only few weapons, but there will be much more in the final release.
Yeah, and I have to say that I quite like our enemy death animations because they're, over the top, really exaggerated. So yeah, I really love those.
Awesome.
Was there ever a version of this that was in color, or was it always black and white from day one?
It was always black and white.
Always.
Can we talk about any other abilities in addition to, so we've got this grapple with the tail, and obviously a lot of guns. Will we be doing anything else? Any other skills, abilities?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, some Metroidvania elements here and there, so you will be able, you will unlock some abilities as you progress. So the grappling hook for one thing, but the helicopter, that is also used by the protagonist as his tail over his head. Double jump, so some genre staples like that. We don't want to, spoil everything just now, but you can expect many different options to be unlocked as you go.
Cool.
I'm so into this game. I really love what you guys are doing here. Were there any specific, actual old cartoons that were huge influences on this? Did you kind of come across any hidden gems or anything like that?
Yeah, we have a stack of reference from the 1930s, 1940s. We watch all the shows, Popeye shows till today, all the episodes. There are a lot of them. Old cartoons made by
like Betty Boop, Felix the Cat, stuff like this. Basically, whatever fits into rubber hose category, we always take a look. Either if it's an animation, a comic book, we want to explore that, take a thorough look, and get some inspirations for that. So there's like a huge stack of materials in our office.
Now, obviously, this is a very different game, a very different genre to Cuphead, but I feel like seeing the rubber hose animation, maybe some people are having traumatic flashbacks to the punishing difficulty of Cuphead. Where are you pitching the difficulty for Mouse PI for hire?
So, first of all, we are aiming to make the game as accessible to a wide audience as possible. So it will feature a couple of different difficulty modes. So if you want an easier experience and you want to, be focused on the story just like that, you can do that. And the game should be a breeze on easy. But if you're looking for a serious challenge, yes, we will provide that as well. And trust me, I've been playing the game on, harder settings just recently, and it's punishingly difficult. So yeah, basically, the choice is yours.
Nice.
I
love it. Now let's talk a little bit about the lore and the setting. Who are we playing as? Who is this titular mouse?
Yeah, so our protagonist, his name's Jack Pepper. He's a World War I trench veteran who went back home, and first he became a cop, and after that he turned to be a private investigator. And it's a noir story, so Jack tends to usually find himself in a heap of trouble. But this time it's bigger than usual. It's a pretty sticky fondue of celebrities, mobsters, dirty politicians, and a conspiracy aimed at taking over the US. So it's going to be a big adventure.
Yeah, we also have a second character named Tammy. Tammy is not a playable character, but is really important for the story. She's a young mice orphaned as a child whose mother Jack knew. While she's not participate in investigation or gunfights, she makes Jack work much easier. As she's great with everything mechanical, she's upgrading weapons, inventing new gadgets, upgrading the old ones. She can it all.
She can do it all as long as you don't ask her to make some coffee.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair enough. So how does that progression work? Like, how do you upgrade weapons? Like, what's the progression scheme like?
So along the way, you will find some NPCs offering you some side quests, side challenges, and you will get some in-game currency, or you will get some key items that can be used either to be traded for some upgrades done by Tammy, or to give them to the items to Tammy so she can fashion something out of them, because Tammy is the kind of character that always comes up with new ideas to create some new gadgets to make Jack's work easier. So some of this stuff is mandatory, like some of this stuff will be put on the main path of the game, but some of this stuff will be optional. So players who will want to dwell more into the game's world, who will want to immerse themselves more, will be rewarded in a meaningful way.
Now I'm curious. Sorry, I'm just spacing out here. Like the weapons, do they have alternate fire or anything like that?
They do.
Yeah,
they do.
They do.
Can we talk about how big this arsenal might be?
It's more than 10.
More than 10?
That's what I can say
I'll
at this
take
point.
that.
Because what we have showcased so far, these were just, I'd say, regular weapons, stuff that you expect to be present in an FPS game. But we have a couple of cool weapons, still to be shown. A couple of experimental, cartoonish weapons, if you will. I don't want to spoil much, but you will be surprised by the full arsenal.
Nice. Now, when can we expect to get our hands on it? Are you any plans for Steam Early Access, console release window, anything like that?
We can't reveal anything right now.
Yeah, we cannot reveal much at this point, but basically everything is in talks right now, and the idea of providing a hands-on demo for the public is always tempting. But we also want to make sure that it's fully polished, it's perfect. So not yet, but keep an eye out.
Well, we are dying to see more. As a very wise cartoon character once said, that is all, folks. Mouse P.I. Fihar is out sometime in the future, but you can wishlist it on Steam right now.
We have lots more cool stuff on the way from the Gamescom studio, so please stick around.
We've just made it to the north entrance of Gamescom, and right behind the camera there is a huge crowd of people absolutely buzzing to get in through the doors. I mean, check it out! Okay, what game are you most excited to play?
Space Marine.
How about you?
Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter 2. Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter. Space Marines 2.
Farming simulators every year, and every year I'm gonna look for it.
And this costume you've got on this cosplay, who are you cosplaying as?
Guts from Berserk. It's not quite the armor. I didn't have the time to finish it, but I had the time for the sword.
That sword is amazing. How long did it take you to make?
Probably 2 weeks.
So you excited to get in through the doors?
I'm really excited.
Hey, your Jill Valentine cosplay is amazing. I'm presuming that you have been looking forward to Gamescom for a little while now. How long have you been waiting to get into the doors?
Honestly, we decided that yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah, me and my friend, we did it spontaneously. I bought my ticket yesterday, and this is my first time.
I'm in. I want to play the Infinity Nikki game.
How about you, sir?
I would like to play Civilization 7 and the new Assassin's Creed.
And the whole ensemble is incredible. So yeah, have an awesome Gamescom, you two. Ahoy there, matey. That is an incredible outfit. Who are you cosplaying as?
I'm Teach from One Piece, Blackbeard, also known with the Darkness Fruit.
Is this your first Gamescom, or have you a seasoned veteran?
I would consider myself a seasoned veteran, yes.
How about you, sir? What games are you most excited to play at Gamescom this year?
Probably Civilization 7, also the new Indiana Jones game, and also we're today pretty excited for the indie area.
Probably Enjoy. I've heard a lot of great things about the game, and I look forward to everything.
Definitely Monster Hunter.
I'm actually looking very much forward again to playing Final Fantasy XIV again. It hasn't been here for a couple of years before. I got to play it yesterday already, and now I'm kind of wanting to checking out like Inzoi, like the new life simulation game, something in very big hype at the moment. Also like the game right next to it, Dark and Darker, looked very interesting for a mobile game, so I'm very, very interested to try that out as well.
Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter Wilds.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
The doors are about to open any second now. Which game are you going to be running straight towards to play?
Gothic.
Here they come. What are you most excited to play?
Monster Hunter.
What are you most excited to play, sir?
Oh, for Monster Hunter.
Life is Strange Double Exposure.
Yeah.
I don't know who I can trust.
Final Fantasy.
Ooh, Final Fantasy, amazing. What game do you most want to play today?
Monster Hunter World.
All games!
All games. Best answer yet.
It's not Star Wars Outlaw.
It's not? You've thrown a curveball here. Which game?
Monster Hunter Wild.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Probably Stalker 2.
World of Warcraft, actually.
Probably the most at the moment Space Marines 2.
Also Space Marine 2, big Warhammer fan.
Monster Hunter Wild and Space Marine 2.
May the force be with you, sir.
Thank you. The force with you too. I love that.
Copa City is a football tycoon game where you transform an entire city to get it prepped to host world-class football events. Copa City features 3 meticulously crafted maps based on real cities like Warsaw and Berlin, and includes 6 world-class football clubs like Flamengo, Arsenal FC, and FC Bayern Munich. Here's an exclusive first look at Alpha gameplay.
Football. Every time before the ball is set in motion on the pitch, it's the culmination of hard work. To captivate the fans, to ensure everyone's safety, to meet every need, and to ignite the city's fiesta for the game. Sometimes it requires making tough decisions with lasting consequences. To elevate your football event to a global stage, to bring the best players and clubs to your city, to make your game happen in Copa City.
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways, ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners, and best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection to the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
IGN Store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons and Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed to find something you love. There are new and exciting products hitting the store every week, like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. Plus, high-quality IGN store exclusives like the powerful and spicy Star Wars Darkside Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning in to the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part? You don't even need to leave the house to go there. Just head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. The IGN Store. You deserve it.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing today.
Hello everybody, it's day 2 of Gamescom here in Cologne, Germany. We are here in Hall 7 outside the IGN merch booth where there's a bunch of really cool stuff on sale. If you're here, you should swing by, grab something, treat yourself. We got cool hoodies, exclusive t-shirts, a bunch of awesome stuff. There's a Geralt mini bust, which is awesome. If you're not at Gamescom, go to store.ign.com and you can find a bunch of this stuff for sale right now.
And today on the IGN stage, we have Sonic and Shadow Generations. After that, we've got Star Wars Outlaws, and following that, Batman Arkham Shadow. So stick around, stay tuned.
Hey everyone, I'm here with Andreas, the producer on The Eternal Life of Goldman. Now, The Eternal Life of Goldman stars a very old man, and it's not very often you see old men in the starring roles of video games. Can you tell us a little bit about Goldman and why he deserves his own video game?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. You know, usually you don't have these kind of protagonists. I feel it's kind of you feel like you're actually the protagonist of an ancient fable or like a parable, right? They often would have, old men essentially that would, outsmart their enemies, and it feel like it makes it pretty special. It also gives the opportunity to us to, have something else as their main tool, which in our case is a cane, which, it's fitting for an old man. And thirdly, there's a very concrete narrative reason why he's called Goldman and why he's an old man that I can't go into now because of spoilers.
So my first impressions of the demo were that it was kind of like Up Meet DuckTales with that cane, the old NES game DuckTales. But also there's this nightmarish kind of sinister vibe going on in the background. Is Goldman going to end up being a horror game?
No, not at all. It's not going to be a horror game, but you're right. There is a bizarreness and weirdness to it. So I feel like, it goes well with the theme of fables or fairy tales. You have the beautiful and the bizarre, the macabre and the frightening, like the terrifying next to each other. So I think it's not going to be a horror game, but it's going to go places that are dark and deep, definitely.
And what kind of dark and deep inspirations did the team draw from for this game?
So I think mostly we go back to like ancient fables, like, not one specific, but like these traditions of, the big questions of life and death. Like you take your ancient Jewish, your ancient Greek mythologies basically, and see like, it's about the eternal life, right? So like what lies beyond, what lies beneath, and, what even makes life worth living, I guess. So I think it's more about, the darkness and the existential questions. And actually, if you have a close listen to the announcement trailer and you hear the audio, what's being said in the trailer, that already gives you a hint what the game main horror or themes are about. So I think it's really homing in on the fear within us that is kind of exemplified in these bizarre creatures. But it's not like one thing. It's really like what makes these myths and these ancient fears kind of go together.
Okay, well, in terms of that trailer, I saw a couple of enemies in there that they look like caterpillars, but they also had a fairly suggestive design to them. Do you know what I mean?
No,
they look a little bit penisy.
Oh!
Does that say something about Goldman's psyche? Is this game taking place inside his mind?
I cannot neither deny nor confirm that. But there's definitely, I'm with you on that. Like if you look at the enemy design closely, there's some disturbing stuff, that you sort of, if your therapist asks you, like, draw your fears, it might be a worm with a penis, or will look like that. So I think it's about that. It's Yeah, I would say like, challenging these deep fears and just like having them in those kind of frightening creatures. But in the end, it's of course what you see in them.
Oh no, that's Freudian.
Yeah.
No, Well, anyway, Goldman's cane seems to be pretty customizable. In fact, we saw that you could swap out the shaft to allow you to either jump on enemies' heads or also jump higher. Can you talk a little bit more about his cane and what abilities it gives you throughout the game?
Absolutely. So like one of the main things that we said, like, he's an old man, he doesn't have like an arsenal of weapons, it's his cane. But the cane is not just for walking, it's customizable. So like have 3 parts where you can shift the parts basically, and to either give you more mobility, like in the demo, for instance, we have an extended jump where you can grab onto stuff, but you have also stuff like phosphorus cane, which will illuminate the darkness, or an aura, which will attract certain enemies and do damage to other enemies. So it's essentially like basically choosing the right combination of equipment for each situation. I want to emphasize though, like we want to keep this accessible and like easy to switch. You can switch on the fly, as you said, like while playing. It's not you're gonna sit like think for hours about the right loadout. You're just gonna like, I have these parts. Hey, how can I combine these 2 things for a certain situation? And we just wanna basically play around with that, and give players the ability, but also like you mentioned DuckTales before, and it's a cool inspiration. But in DuckTales, it was essentially just for jumping, and the cane is more than just a pogo stick. It it can be customized. It can be like a really effective and versatile tool. And I think just playing around with that and really focusing on what the cane can do, I think it's one of the strengths of the game.
Awesome. Now, in terms of the cane's upgrades, I presume we don't get them all at the same time. Does that mean that this game is going to be more of a Metroidvania style game, or is it a linear side-scroller?
As you were saying, there's a linearity to the game, so basically it's a narrative experience, right? You want to be in the story back and forth. You're not going to be like sort of, thinking like mechanically. Like in Metroidvanias, you often have this kind of backtracking, and then you find an ability, you go back there. I think for us, it has elements of that because there's stuff in Metroidvanias that we like a lot, right? Especially you like the world opening up, getting new abilities and making that abilities or that gear, worthwhile and make it count, right? So I think that's what we're trying from there. But I think we have a bit more of a focused narrative experience. There is a bit of non-linearity in the path you choose, but it's not a full-fledged Metroidvania. So we like to call it like a platform adventure, actually. Like there's an adventure part, of finding new areas, finding new biomes, but the core mechanics is the platforming.
Awesome. Now, one of the things that stands out about the game is its visual style. It all looks hand-drawn, but I've heard the team on this game is very small. Have they used any AI or anything in the process of creating the look for the game?
There is no AI involved in that game, so everybody, it's really people sitting down on their desks for weeks, months, and actually can take up to a year for a biome to be finished. So it's really like hand-drawn. So you're gonna, first by hand on a piece of paper sketch that, then use your tools to bring it into the game. It's that classic line art. I mean, you could tell the AI to do something, but it's not gonna come out like this. And I think that level of detail, and also that it all fits together, right? It all makes sense and also works as a game because, there's also stuff it has to, you have to understand as a player where you're going. AI can't do that, even in 20 years.
Right.
And I think the only way of really getting this done is, okay, like, you're gonna do this right, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna paint it, we're gonna paint some more, and then we're gonna do some more painting and animating. And that's essentially what WP has been doing for the past couple of years.
Awesome. Well, the game looks great, Andreas, and I hope we don't have to wait an eternity for the eternal life of Goldman.
Sonic X Shadow Generations is an enhanced version of 2011's beloved Sonic Generations, featuring new standalone content with Shadow the Hedgehog, who now has Doom powers. Here to tell me all about it are Takashi Iizuka and Austin Keys from Sega of America. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So, bringing back Sonic Generations, getting Shadow in there, and now Shadow has these Doom powers. Doom Sphere, Doom Blast, Doom Morph, Doom Wing, Doom Surf, and more. Tell us about these. Is Shadow doomed? What's happening here?
はい、今回ソニックシャドウジェネレーションを作るにあたってですね、ソニックにはない新しい能力をシャドウに与えようということで、今回そのドゥームパワーっていう新しい能力をシャドウに与えました。本当に今ご紹介いただいたようにドゥームウィングって言ってシャドウに羽が生える すごいかっこいいアクションを筆頭にですね、さまざまないろんなアクションをこうゲームをプレイするに伝えて、こう徐々にこう成長していく、徐々に取得していくっていうところが、このゲームの一つの楽しみ方になってます。
So yeah, Sonic X Shadow Generations. We wanted to make a game where we gave, Sonic is in there, but Shadow is going to have these new powers and new abilities that he'll be able to, do all throughout the game. It was something interesting. All the Doom powers that you talked about, yes, they're all in there. Doom Wing is a really cool one where he actually grows wings. We wanted to have Shadow have these abilities and kind of earn them as you're playing the game to give him new things to do as you're playing the game and progressing through the story. So that is one of the new points that's really fun about the Shadow side of Sonic X Shadow Generations.
And I believe there are some other familiar faces we'll be seeing. I believe Metal Overlord was spotted in the latest trailer. That's sure to please fans. How does Metal Overlord fit into the package?
はい、ソニックジェネレーションを遊んだことのある方はおそらく分かるかと思うんですけども、このジェネレーションというシリーズのゲームは一旦すべてタイムイーターによって過去が全部消されてしまって、その今までこう歩んできた歴史をもう一度こう歩み直すっていうゲームなんですね。なので、そのバイオリザードとか今回のメタルオーバーロードとか、これはソニックヒーローズの時のラスボスなんですけども、これらともう一度シャドウが戦うことになる、そういう流れになっています。
So yes, for anyone who's played Sonic Generations, you may know this already, but the whole Generations format is that the Time Eater has come and kind of taken away all of time and space, and everything is in this kind of strange time-space void. And as you're going through the game, you're kind of revisiting a lot of the places from the past, and you're re-experiencing it and kind of putting the time-space continuum back. So for the Shadow side, we do have things like BioLizard. They are going to be stuck in that, time-space continuum issue. Metal Overlord is the last boss from Sonic Heroes. These are all going to be bosses that Shadow again will have to face and defeat in order to put the time continuum back.
And I believe we saw footage in the latest trailer of Chaos Island, which is from Sonic Frontiers, which I believe came out after the original Sonic generation. So now that you are sort of revisiting the package, adding Shadow, it's not just you're not just pulling from games that came out before Sonic Generations, is that correct? It seems like everything is game.
そうですね。ソニックジェネレーションズがリリースしたのが2011年なんですけども、それ以降にソニックフォースとか、あとソニックフロンティアとか、さまざまなゲームがリリースされてますけども、その過去から最新作のソニックフロンティアズまでを今回のシャドウジェネレーションズでは取り入れてます。
So yes, you're exactly correct. Sonic Generations came out in 2011, and it kind of revisited all of the past up until 2011. But for the Shadow side, there's Sonic Forces that came out after Generations, Sonic Frontiers that came out after Generations, and so we wanted to, go not only all the way back from the beginning, but continue on all the way up to Sonic Frontiers and kind of portray a lot of parts of different games in Shadow Generations.
So Shadow's campaign within Sonic Generations, is it completely separate, or will Sonic and Shadow meet up at some point during the game?
はい、ソニックジェネレーションズとシャドウジェネレーションズは実は同じタイムラインで物語が進行してまして、どちらもタイムイーターによってその時間と空間が消されてしまったっていう、そこから物語がスタートします。で、ソニックジェネレーションズを遊んだことある人には分かると思うんですけど、途中シャドウとの出会いもあるんですね、絡みも。でそれも今回のシャドウジェネレーションズでもこうザッピングみたいな感じで両方がこう重なり合った形でストーリーが進行します。
So yes, Sonic Generations and Shadow Generations take place in the same timeline. The story both starts with the Time Eater kind of messing with the world and removing time and space. So both the Sonic side and the Shadow side kind of have that in there. And as you're playing through the game, there are moments, for people who have played Sonic, they know that Shadow does pop into Sonic Generations, and we are going to have those kind of moments where there is that crossover between the storylines of Sonic Generations and Shadow Generations.
Cool. So I believe there's also an open world, a 3D hub world. Mm-hmm. What are we able to do there, and does it work is it anything like the way it worked in Sonic Frontiers?
はい、ソニックフロンティアでオープンワールドのオープンゾーンっていうゲームプレイが非常に皆さんにご好評いただいたんですけども、今回のシャドウジェネレーションズを作るにあたって実際のアクションゲームプレイはソニックジェネレーションズと同様、サイドスクロールとフォワードビューの3D アクションゲームなんですけども、そのハブワールドとなるホワイトスペースの部分にフロンティアのオープンゾーンのエレメントを少し加えています。これがそれぞれ、ルームパワーをシャドウが身につけることによってこの行ける範囲が広がっていって、また新しい発見や新しいステージへの入り口が見つかるというような構造になっています。
So yes, the open zone theme that they used to create Sonic Frontiers, that was something that people really liked. And so when they were making the Shadow Generations part of the game, they said, first of all, we need to have the Generations format. We need that side-scrolling action platform gameplay. We also need the front view, like running into the world, action gameplay, action platforming as well. But for the hub world, they wanted to take the open zone game design kind of aesthetic and mentality and design a hub world with that open zone design aesthetic. And in doing so, they created this world that kind of feels like Frontiers. You can run around wherever you want, but as Shadow acquires Doom powers, he's also getting these abilities to get to different parts in this open zone format. So your Doom powers will let you get to new places and find new stages and places to play in the game.
Very cool. I know Sonic Generations is a fan favorite Sonic game. Bringing it back, polishing it up, and adding new content. I know fans are going to be really excited to play. So thank you so much for coming by and talking about the game with us here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, players everywhere can experience a whole lot of Hedgehog when Sonic X Shadow Generations comes to PC and consoles on October 25th. There's much more Gamescom coverage right around here on IGN, so stick around.
IGN store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed to find something you love. There are new and exciting products hitting the store every week, like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. Plus, high-quality IGN store exclusives like the powerful and spicy Star Wars Darkside Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning in to the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part? You don't even need to leave the house to go there. Just head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. The IGN Store.
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on Cinefix, IGN, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Why so serious?
In just a few days, gamers everywhere will be able to blast across the galaxy in Star Wars Outlaws, the brand new open-world Star Wars game I've wanted basically my entire life. Brian wrote those words, but I agree with him.
I agree with him too. Here to tell us all about it is the creative director, Julian Garrity, and star of Star Wars Outlaws, Umberly Gonzalez. Hi.
Welcome.
It is so awesome to meet you. You and I have talked 100 times, but I could talk about Star Wars forever. Let's start with you. How did you develop Kay Vesta's attitude, personality, all that fun stuff? Like, how did you sort of hone in on who she is as a Star Wars character?
Honestly, right from the get-go, from the first audition, even though they made us sign a million NDAs and I had no idea it was Star Wars, there was an attitude that I got from her that she uses her charm and her swagger to get where she wants to go and just take opportunities from whoever is available. So I always made sure that, she was confident enough, fake it till you make it, even if she's very flawed. So I got a bit of that, I made sure that I... He's like, she's always faking it till she makes it. But I think it naturally came to me. I love playing characters that are a little bit sassy and witty and, kind of quick to clap back.
Right.
I just kind of used like that natural attitude that came to me, and obviously the character deepened once we knew that it was a scoundrel story, that I was in Star Wars, so the tone just adds to the relevance of the world.
There's a lot of characters like that in Star Wars, so it fits right in.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear about this. When you started the audition process, you didn't know it was Star Wars. So how do they? By the way, this is going to be Star Wars. How does that come about?
It was like 5 months from the initial audition, actually. And at first I thought it was some like cowboy western. Maybe there were like robots involved or something, but I felt like, the characters were very grand and there was this air about it, but not once did I ever think it was Star Wars. And they probably thought that they were being so obvious, but I didn't.
I mean, this was part of the process with Lucasfilm Games.
Right.
We have to mask those initial scripts. So we had some that were themed as westerns and some that were themed as pirate adventures.
Oh, interesting.
And we sent those out, and the whole thing was completely masked. So we had to write different scripts just to get the casting off the ground.
You just come in one day and you're like, oh, by the way, that's a blaster, and you have an alien sidekick, and that's not a pirate ship, it's a spaceship that goes into space. Have fun. Welcome to Star Wars.
Pretty much.
We actually recorded the reactions of the performers who were told it's going to be Star Wars. The explosion of joy, the love of Star Wars is pretty universal. So, there is a deep connection to that world, that universe, that galaxy in general.
So nobody was like, oh man, I really like pirates. I
wish, can you change it?
Did you have a favorite moment, mocapping, doing VO, all of that? I mean, I imagine once you knew what you were getting into, you were like, okay, this is a whole new world now.
Oh, unreal. I mean, being a lead protagonist in one of the biggest franchises. And I love mocap. I've been working with Ubisoft for a few years, so it felt like I'm like a veteran in it, but this is my first lead, so I really felt ready for that role. And honestly, one of the best moments, because we don't have a set, we don't have costume or hair or makeup, you have to make believe so much, relying on the team to describe what you're looking at. But they did go above and beyond, building a trailblazer and the speeder out of like wood and pieces of metal and like neon tape. And there were times when they were like, okay, so we're gonna fly into hyperspace. So they actually moved it like a roller coaster. And I was like sitting there like, okay, we're going, ND5 ready, and I'm going, and it was like shaking, going up, and I had to hold my joy in. I think the first take it was like not good, because I was like,
Too joyful.
Like K-Vaz wouldn't do that.
I love that. I love that.
Let's try it again. Less joy.
Yeah, they were like, make it cooler. She's cooler than,
The build of the Trailblazer in wood was half of our production budget. That was it. It was just like,
thank you.
The set.
But we sold the story, now you gotta play the game and you'll be like, the way she flew that Trailblazer. So,
right.
Yes.
I'm convinced.
And we're also joined by Nyx here today.
Of course, yes, star of the show.
Favorite character. What was the initial idea? You think Kay needs a sidekick? How did Nyx come to be added?
I mean, working with Massive in Sweden, everything is through the lens of gameplay. So we went to first playable, and we realized that Kay didn't have that little extra spice that we needed to give her beyond her powers of, the blaster and the speeder. So, we started thinking about, okay, what could her powers be? She's not a Jedi. This is a scoundrel. This is an outlaw. So how do we make that extra long arm that can distract a stormtrooper or attack an enemy or anything like that? Flick switches from a distance. Sure. So Nyx was born through that lens, and then the soft values came. And very quickly, we came up with a species that we all fell in love with that became a huge source of inspiration for the team as well. So a real team mascot as well. We all fell in love with him, but it wasn't originally part of the pitch.
Interesting. Do either of you have a personal favorite scene in Star Wars? Like something that when you think about Star Wars, you go, that's my joint right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, it's Jabba's palace, right? That whole first 20 minutes is my favorite.
Yes.
Do you guys have that for yourselves?
The original cut or the remastered?
The original cut.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
original.
Yeah, the song's better in the original.
Yeah.
It is.
I think for me, it's trash compactor scene.
Yeah.
In Star Wars A New Hope. It's such a concentration of matinee action, great characters, creatures, danger, fear. There's a little bit scary, a little bit dark, but it's humorous at the same time. That is like a perfect moment for me that encapsulates everything that I love about there.
And Luke is screaming. He's like, C-3PO. There's like a snake popping. Yeah, the Dianoga. I love it. Sorry, I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Yes. I can probably say the script and you'll finish it. I love you.
I know.
Wow.
And
Does he do finger guns as well?
But he pulls out his real blaster. That's the other cut of the version.
Okay.
George Lucas was constantly changing those things. It's ridiculous.
So we're very close to release now. What are you most excited about for people to experience with Star Wars Outlaws?
I'm excited to play it.
I mean,
you know what's wild is that even though I'm in it and I've said all of the words, 11,364 lines.
Wow.
Yes.
64. Perfect. Well counted. Yeah.
Thank you. I get to see the world for the first time too because we're doing mocap, right? So we don't get to see the landscapes and the creatures and the music and for me it was all like, okay, imagine this and act it, So I'm very excited to experience it alongside the audience and go on like all of the side quests. I'm very excited for those. Those were really fun dialogues, really intriguing, like funny moments that if you don't want to follow the main storyline, you get to go on these like really weird adventures sometimes. And Nyx is usually the one who's like looking at something. I'm like, what do you see, buddy? Is there something there? So make sure you pay attention to those moments.
Ooh, for sure.
Yeah.
Brian and I are both super excited to play. Thank you both so much for coming by the stage.
Thank you.
May the Force be with you all. Be sure to check out Star Wars Galaxy. No, Star Wars Outlaws. And it launches on PC and consoles next week.
In the whole Star Wars galaxy, though. We got tons more Gamescom right here on IGN, so don't go anywhere. And yeah, may the Force be with you.
Always.
Always.
What's up, everybody? Max Scoville here. I'm with Joel Bylaws from Funcom. We are here to talk about Dune Awakening. I think we should address the Shai Hulud in the room. We got life-size worms out here. So I've seen a lot of buzz around this game. It looks awesome. It's a Dune game, but there's also seems to be some sort of like confusion of like what type of game. It's a survival MMORPG. I've seen people be like, is it Conan Exiles in space? How do you pitch this?
Yeah, so it sort of starts off with this really strong survival angle. Like I consider it like a V shape. You start in the focused survival part of the V, and then you move up and it becomes more of political survival, social, MMO, working with other players, working with large guilds. The initial premise of the game was just, hey, how do we take a survival game and give it a good end game? And the conclusion to that in June was like political survival, big world,
That is a complex answer. Dune is like it's such complex lore to kind of put together. Where does this fall in the canon?
Yeah, so we worked with the Herbert estate and we sort of went with like this alternate universe where instead of Paul being born, Jessica followed her orders from the Bene Gesserit, gave birth to a daughter, right? And then that shifts the landscape of everything. So we kind of did this for two reasons. One, it sets up the ability to have Harkonnen and Atreides on the planet fighting each other. It also means that people who've read the books and seen the movies have something to look forward to in our game because there's something slightly different about it, right?
Okay, so it's kind of like a what-if scenario. That's cool. Now I got to ask, the Bene Gesserit kind of psychic stuff. How are you approaching the more supernatural elements?
So I mean, like Spice has its own kind of special stuff going on, and I probably shouldn't spoil too much, but it's cool if you take enough Spice. Things will happen.
Okay,
and,
interesting.
And then the Bene Gesserit themselves, like the Mentats, all of these kind of special things from the universe, you can learn them as archetypes. You can meet trainers in the world who will teach you a little bit of the ability. Like, you can't really become a Bene Gesserit, but you can learn some of their abilities. You can learn to use the voice, and then you can use that, say, in combat to compel an enemy to come charging at you, right? Or you can use it to make people not see you. You can tell them, like, ignore me.
Okay.
And they won't pay attention to you for a little while. So, yeah, it's kind of, that's how we built it into the game.
So you can't say too much, but what does Spice do in the game? Is it treated like it's a resource, obviously? But
it's kind of Spice is kind of at the heart of everything, right? Like, so first of all, when you come to Arrakis, your character isn't really that used to Spice. So after a little while, they start to have a moment, right? Paul has one like that in the movie as well. The player starts to have a little moment, and it sets him on this journey through the world. And so Spice is kind of, it's there as like a guide, a spiritual guide. It works as like something that fuels your growth, your abilities. It also works as like a currency for which you pay tax to the Emperor for building on Arrakis, right? And it also works to bribe people in the political system. So Spice has a lot of uses.
There's a lot going on here. So aside from the water of life, what about actual water? So how does that come into play? Like, this is a sandbox game in maybe the worst way because you're gonna die of thirst.
Yeah, so we built in like a bunch of mechanics for getting water. Starting off, you're kind of scrabbling to survive, so you're sucking moisture out of plants because you're not Fremen, you don't know how to live here in the desert, right? But then over time you learn to like pull the blood out of your enemies, extract it, take it to a machine, purify it, then you start taking water from there. Eventually you get like a Dew Reaper, which allows you to sort of walk around sucking the water off plants, like wilting them as you go. And then eventually, move up to the high levels of harvesting. Corpses to put in your death still to give you lots of water. So you are kind of moving through the progression of water in the game.
That is gnarly. Now, I know there is some apprehension because like survival games have a lot of griefing and MMOs have a lot of grinding. What accommodations are you taking to sort of make this accessible for people who just want to play a Dune game?
Yeah, I mean, so we're trying to sort of tutorialize well, explain to people the world. There's a little single player section at the start of the game before you enter the main world. And in that single player section, we teach you the basic mechanics. We teach you a little bit about the lore. We give you a story. And then we put you into the world and sort of have you survive. I mean, I don't think the game is going to be for everybody. If you hate survival games, it's not going to be a game that you want to play, right? Like, so I have to be clear about that. I don't like to sell games to people who don't want to play them. So, but at the end of the day, like it's kind of, there's enough there. It's forgiving enough. You learn the mechanics. You learn not to walk on the sand when the sandworm's around. You learn how to get water. You'll be fine.
Now let's talk about the walking. A wise man once said, walk without rhythm and you won't attract the worm. We see the guy in the gameplay trailer you just dropped is walking pretty purposefully and pretty rhythmically. Can you do the silly walk?
You can't because you're not Fremen and you haven't learned it. But it is something that you can learn later in the game, hopefully, right? Like, so you get further into the game, maybe you learn some skills about this, but not in the beginning, right? Because so some of our players in beta, they're like, oh, I'm walking like an idiot on the sand. I'm not using any rhythm. The sandworm still comes. And I'm like, you don't know how to sandwalk, man.
Okay, yeah, you gotta learn the ways. Now let's talk about the worms. How do you incorporate a giant, kilometer-wide worm into a game? That's a pretty massive even for an MMO.
Yeah, so the worms themselves, like, there's two sizes. We have the small worms, which are like this guy, and then we have the Shia, the really big chungus that comes out, So the idea is that, like, yeah, when you're walking on the sand, you create vibrations every time you walk on the sand or drive or ride a vehicle or anything, right? The sandworm will always come. It's this huge AI that's moving around, so it's actually there in the world all the time. It's not something we spawn. It's not some scripted trick. It's following and listening, right? And it comes after players in the world. And then when you get to the deep desert, the harvesting areas, that's where the really big worms show up.
Okay, so they're just out there. They're like constantly part of the environment.
Yeah, it's like a shark, right? You got to think about. You go into the water, you hear the Jaws music, you start walking on the sand, and you feel like, okay, there's tension. The sandworm is going to come, and it's just a matter of time.
Okay, that's terrifying. I want to talk about combat a little bit. There's a lot of gunplay we see in the trailer. Obviously, there's the close quarters combat and knife fighting. How are you striking a balance between ranged and melee?
Yeah, so June has a really interesting shield mechanic, right? And it's part of the lore that like shields basically rebuff all projectiles. So the way the game works is that we have this enemies use shields, they use ranged. So it's kind of about getting in and out of combat very quickly, getting close to the people in melee, pulling back to use ranged on people who don't have shields. And then of course, like we have abilities which allow you to do this, to get in and out. I mentioned Compel, but there's things like the Shigawire Claw, which let you pull yourself into an enemy or force them to stumble. There's all sorts of stuff for moving around the battlefield. So yeah, it's kind of this combined arms, we call it, this combination of melee, ranged, and abilities.
We also see some climbing. What are the traversal options here?
Yeah, so the climbing is freeform, right? Like we're sort of in Conan Exiles, we had like freeform climbing. In June, we have a sort of more advanced version of that where you can climb on anything, but in addition, you can use abilities or suspensor belts. So once you get a suspensor belt, you can kind of just fly, right? You see it in the movies as well. You just sort of fly around in the world as long as your power lasts. And then, yeah, obviously climbing is just freeform attached to a server, start climbing.
Awesome. Early access, what are the plans for people getting their hands on it?
Yeah, so we're doing a persistent beta right now. We'll be adding thousands and thousands of more people to it as we progress towards the launch window, getting more people in to test the endgame systems and the large faction stuff. And then we're looking for an early, we're not saying early access, we're saying early 2025 launch window.
Cool. Well, I'm dying to check it out. Arrakis sounds brutal and unforgiving, and I want to get eaten by a worm.
Get ready for the next ambitious video game, Dimensionals, a fast-paced RPG that delivers roguelike replayability with action-packed tactics. Collect heroes, level them up, and build a party of 3 to fight bosses throughout different dimensions. Equip your heroes with a diverse set of skills and watch as they come together to create a barrage of attacks and combos. Told in the style of voice-acted comic book cutscenes, experience the rush as you fight your way through dimensions to save the multiverse. Want a better idea of the game? Check out this trailer and dive into the world of Dimensionals, launching on all platforms in 2025 with early access this November on Steam.
When the Rift is in trouble, the only ones you can rely on are... Dimensionals is the hottest new roguelike RPG. Put together incredible teams of unique heroes. Like Short, he's a bit of a dummy, but he loves blasting specters. Or the mysterious Shade Strike, the smooth-tongued gambler from the Shadow Dimension. Assemble your favorite heroes, strategize to make insane combos. But watch out, because Ragnarok's world-crushing bosses are no joke. Take on the Rift in style with the epic cartoon soundtrack by Brad Elliott. Experience wicked comic cutscenes in Dimensional's campaign mode, or blast your way through the open rift and face incredible and unpredictable challenges. Encounter a huge cast of characters like the Rogue Rifters, here to help you take down the bad guys. Or are they? Side effects of playing Dimensionals will include fun, addiction to victory, temporary loss of reality, and spontaneous combustion due to awesome. Some assembly required batteries not included.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection of the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways, ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners, and best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
IGN has the most thorough, easy to use, and high-tech maps out there. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing today. Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help. IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. You can even track your progress with interactive checklists so you know you reached that 100% completion. IGN has the very best, most complete, and accurate guides. Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
This fall, we're finally getting a brand new Batman Arkham game with Batman Arkham Shadow, the brand new VR game coming to MetaQuest 3. Here to break it down for us is Ryan Payton, Camouflage Studio Head and Game Director. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Very exciting new Batman game, VR game. It's set between Arkham Origins and Asylum.
That's correct, yes.
How did you land in this time period?
Well, start off, we're just huge fans of the Batman Arkham franchise. It's been many years since we've got a new game in the Arkham franchise. So when we got the phone call from Meta, they said, hey, you just came off of Iron Man VR. We really love that game. What do you think about jumping into the world of Batman? But not just Batman, but Batman Arkham. We were really intimidated. Well, I can tell you a little more about the backstory of how we signed the game. But at that time, we looked at the timeline and we thought, you know what? There's a lot that happens to Batman between Arkham Asylum, City, and Night, and then we thought, hey, after Origins, which is a great game and I think an underappreciated game, there's a lot of interesting areas from a story perspective where Batman's still relatively young in his career. He's kind of been punching his way through his problems, and that seems like a pretty good setup for a story where we wanted to kind of put Batman through the ringer a little bit.
Interesting. So we think the Rat King has sort of been introduced as a villain here, but what's the sort of the premise of the story that we're going to experience here?
Sure, yeah. So Batman's coming off the experience that took place in Arkham Origins, and like I said, he has a little more passion than he has compassion, and so he's entering into a world of Gotham City that is being hit by all these riots that's being taken place by these new enemy type called the Rats, and they're like these devout followers of our new villain in Batman Arkham Shadow called the Rat King. And with Batman and Jim Gordon and Harvey Dent looking at Gotham City on fire, 4th of July, riots taking place, people following this new cult leader called the Rat King, that's the big setup for the game, and then we see how Batman's going to face this new challenge.
And then in terms of gameplay, are fans of the Arkham series going to find everything that they love from the combat and traversal and gadgets and detective mode just in VR first person?
Well, I mean, that was, I think, the real challenge early on when we got the phone call, which was, at first I thought, I don't think it's possible to translate the Arkham combat, that classic, amazing combat that's influenced so many other games in the industry since Arkham Asylum. I don't think it's possible to translate that properly into VR. And so I went over to the design pit. I said, hey, I just got a phone call whether or not we want to do Batman Arkham. And one of our design directors, Ryan Darcy, said, like, what's the problem? Of course we can do that. You see what we just pulled off with Iron Man VR? And I said, well, Ryan Darcy, what are you going to do in VR? You're going to use the left stick, walk up against an enemy and start just punching at him? Like, that's not going to feel like Arkham. He's like, Ryan, Batman doesn't walk across the room, he punches across the room. And that's how you initiate the combat in the game, and you lunge across the room, and then you've got your combat widgets, you're fighting guys, then you have to do your counters just like the other Arkham games where you're kind of doing that spinning plate gameplay. It's that dance you're doing with multiple enemy types. You throw in the Batarang, the smoke bombs, the different like gel launcher, and we've been able to translate that classic Arkham combat directly into VR. And once we did that through a prototype, showed it to Warner Brothers and DC, they were sold, and the rest is history.
So how much control do you have over Batman's movement, or is everything, as you say, being directed by like who you're punching towards?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the best example I can give in terms of how the game flows is the other Arkham titles.
Okay.
You do have the same degree of freedom in terms of who you want to engage with. As you start, then you start initiating a combo with one of those guys, and yes, we give you different command props, but you can interrupt those at any time, add a gadget in there, you'll get interrupted, so you do a counter, and then you start engaging with another enemy, and it's that whole kind of, again, spinning plate gameplay that adds a lot of variety in terms of like how players want to approach things, and then you get more Wayne Tech bonuses based on how much variety you add into the combat. And as long as you do it within the rhythm, you increase your special combo meter, and then you can unleash some special combo moves onto your enemies, just like the other Arkham games.
Are players going to get a workout playing this game?
They're definitely going to get a workout. This has been a really thrilling experience for us to be here at Gamescom, having people play the game for the first time, and a really intimidating experience for a game developer. We've been working on the game for almost 4 years, and how are they going to respond? And so far, the response has been absolutely fantastic for our behind the closed doors sessions. But one of the jokes that's been going around is that, Ryan, you got to start handing out more T-shirts after the game. You do get pretty into it, and it's not a coincidence because games like Beat Saber and Super Hot VR were actually big core inspirations for us as well in terms of the rhythm of the game, the time dilation you're doing. So it can be a workout, but you can actually play the game seated as well for people that prefer that, or if that's the way that they need to play the game.
And overall, how open or linear is the game?
Yeah, when we pitched the game, out of the gate, we said, look, this is our first foray into the Arkham franchise. We're not like Rocksteady, where it took them a while to get to Arkham Knight, that big open world extravaganza, an incredible game. So we said, hey, look, for our first attempt at Arkham, we want to look at Arkham Asylum. We're actually almost exactly at the 15th anniversary of Arkham Asylum. It came out in August 2009, by the way. And we absolutely adore that game. It's one of the most perfectly paced video games, in my opinion. Great 12-hour campaign. That's what we're trying to get close to that with our game. And we have a similar type of structure. More of a Metroidvania type of structure where you've got a big open courtyard, different dungeons you can go and explore. You go get a gadget, kind of Zelda inspired. You get that new gadget, a gel launcher or the bat claw, and then you can use that to go to another dungeon to go unlock different puzzles or more collectibles. So very inspired by the structure and the flow and the campaign of Arkham Asylum.
You're saying all the right things. Get me very excited to play Batman Arkham Shadow. Thank you so much for coming by the IGN stage.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure, and the response from the IGN community for our 3 trailers so far has been overwhelming. So that tells us there's a lot of big Arkham fans out there, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you guys absolutely love this game.
Sounds great. Batman Arkham Shadow is available for MetaQuest 3 this October. We've got lots more Gamescom coverage right here on IGN, so don't go anywhere.
From the creators of PUBG Battlegrounds, Dark and Darker Mobile is a brand new mobile game from the developers over at Krafton. Pioneering a new genre called Extraction RPG, Dark and Darker Mobile incorporates dungeon crawler elements, a battle royale mode, and a medieval low fantasy RPG experience. If that sounds right up your alley, well, then you're in luck. Dark and Darker Mobile global registration is available now and is playable not just on iOS and Android mobile devices, but also on PC via Google Play Games. Check out a sneak preview of the game in this brand new teaser trailer. Enjoy.
Follow my lead!
Shut up! You can't even run properly!
What the?
IGN has the most thorough, easy to use, and high-tech maps out there. Period. And by high tech, we mean it. We've recently added features like personal notes that save to your IGN account, and anything you check off on a map is tracked in the guide as well. It's the perfect system to get to 100%. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing for free at IGN Maps today.
IGN Store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed to find something you love. There are new and exciting products hitting the store every week, like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. Plus, high-quality IGN Store exclusives like the powerful and spicy Star Wars Darkside Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning in to the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part? You don't even need to leave the house to go there. Just head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. The IGN Store.
Hello again. You just got to look at Dark and Darker, and before that, Batman Arkham Shadow right here on Gamescom Studio, and there's still tons more cool stuff coming up.
But first, Gamescom is about having fun, but it's also about making the world a better place. The Gamescom Cares platform is where Gamescom and Gamescom exhibitors and partners can present social responsibility projects. Whether that's environmental protection, aid for the needy, diversity, or education, Gamescom Cares supports and brings visibility to these great causes.
Games are for everyone, and so is Gamescom. In addition to being a safe haven for our diverse gaming community, Gamescom and its exhibitors are also committed to accessibility throughout the event. This year's Gamescom implemented regulations and allows greater access to the event for wheelchair users and people with mobility impairments.
That's awesome. Now let's take a look at what's coming up. In just a second, we are checking in with our pals who just saw Monster Hunter Wilds out in the wild, and then after that, it is a double dose of post-apocalyptic wastelands with Atomfall and then Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl.
And be sure to stick around for a very special Gamescom edition of GameScoop, where we'll be weighing in on which big 2024 releases have Game of the Year potential.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that one.
Same.
But before that, let's take a look at what's shaping up to be one of 2025's biggest games. Here's Monster Hunter 1.
Hello, Simon and Matt here from IGN, and we're here at Gamescom, and we've just played an hour of Monster Hunter Wilds. We should note we're going to have a full preview on site soon from one of our Monster Hunter experts at IGN, but we're just going to do a quick little reaction to what we played, because we have played a good chunk of Monster Hunter World in years gone by, but now we've got Monster Hunter Wilds. I keep mixing those two up, but I got it right there. And I think the safest thing to say about it is, if you liked Monster Hunter World, you're going to like Monster Hunter Wilds. Because from the chunk we played, I couldn't see too many huge differences, but there are two key differences, which I think you can run us through when you set up one of the missions we played, Matt.
Yeah, so we were tasked by kind of like the Monster Hunter committee to head out and fight a Doshaguma, which is kind of like we saw it in the original trailer. It's a massive bear / ox / woolly mammoth kind of
Just a big hairy boy.
Yeah,
big hairy boy.
A real big hairy boy with a crowd of monsters with him. And I guess that starts there's a little bit of changes to the ecosystem around these monsters. And we had to separate the alpha from his pack. That started with basically throwing dung at them.
Just throwing loads of poo at them. For some reason, I didn't know the science behind it, but throwing poo at monsters makes them not stick with the alpha. I don't know what that is, if they're poo-phobes.
Apparently so. So we separated the alpha from the pack, which meant that we got to go into the classic style Monster Hunter. You're on a chase through a region. Obviously, Monster Hunter Wild has changed into an open world design. What I would say in this quest, that didn't seem to make a huge amount of difference, but the chase is much longer than they were previously because you now have a mount, which is this fella here.
Not this man. This big dinosaur bird thing.
Now this is a secret, which is kind of like a bird, almost chocobo style thing from Final Fantasy, and you can ride this through the chase against the monster, and you can even attack from mounted positions. So you're even able to swing your switch axe or any weapon that you have against the monster as you're chasing it. But then obviously it stops to have kind of like those almost arena style battles with the monster, in which in the first instance we were playing, triggered a weather storm, which is a little bit interesting.
Yeah, the weather storm we got is, well, a weather storm. It's exactly what I said. There was lightning coming down, the sky just turned blue, and it looks like you can almost lure the monster into areas where the lightning may strike, and it did big damage. I mean, I was using the dual blade weapons, which, you know, are quick hitters, but they're doing like 3 or 4 HP a hit, whereas these big lightning strikes are doing like 160 a pop, I think, which was, you know, pretty handy when you're trying to take down a big hairy boy. But I had a lot of fun using that weather. The weather systems, along with the mount, seem to be the big headline features we've experienced so far. Like you said, we haven't seen quite how open world the design is yet. It felt very much like one of the big open zones from World so far. Yeah. I'm intrigued to see how that develops, but yeah, the weather was cool. There's also like almost, we're in a very sandy area and almost like slipped through into like, what do you call it? Big like sand hole. I don't know, like sand whirlpool. Then I had to get all the way back to the top where the Doshugama was. Doshuguma. I keep saying Doshugama. Doshuguma. Big hairy boy.
As in with Monster Hunter Worlds, though, there does have the elements where the monsters will almost bump into each other.
Yes.
We had a sequence where the monster that we were hunting, it's almost like the sandworms from Dune kind of appeared. And we had sort of like an excellent, what felt like it was a pre-scripted event, but maybe there were more organic elements to it. But where this monster wrapped itself around the monster that we were hunting. We kind of got to stand back for a little bit and watch this monster brawl. It was kind of like a Godzilla versus Kong style throwdown. And that, you know, is returning from Monster Hunter World, but it feels like maybe with the more open areas and the way that the different kind of biomes link together, we might be able to introduce creatures that wouldn't normally be seeing each other.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of touched on it. It felt very much like Monster Hunter World at this stage of play. We only played a small section of it, but I'm excited to play more. I like that you know, that typical Monster Hunter cycle of wearing down a big animal, chasing it across like a vast desert. To take down the Doshuguma, I actually utilized the big, large explosive barrels, just put a couple of those in the way. Okay. It swiped with its big bear claw, exploded, and that dealt with it. Got the big Slade screen there, and yeah, I had a lovely time taking down a big hairy boy. Did you have a good time playing it, Matt?
I did have a good time, yeah. It's definitely more... I wasn't sure if this would be the big evolutionary step again in the way that World was a huge evolutionary step for the series. This one maybe doesn't feel quite as significant, at least from what we've played so far. Maybe when we see more of this open world, we might see how that factors in. I think what we can say is from what we have seen, this isn't open world as in it hasn't suddenly turned into Horizon and that just happens to have Monster Hunter fights in it. It definitely feels like they stitched all of the sequences from World together, all of those zones, and that is probably what it's like. And if that's the next kind of like proto-evolutionary step for kind of Monster Hunter before we get to whatever comes next, I'm kind of fine with that. Like, Monster Hunter is good, and having more of that with just that weather and the mounts and those few other sprinklings, I'm kind of fine with that.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. It's more Monster Hunter. That's kind of what I wanted. Taking down big beasts. I like taking down big beasts. Dragon's Dogma 2 got a bit of that to it. Capcom, at the moment, may be the king of taking down giant beasts.
Maybe.
We'll find out when Monster Hunter World arrives in 2025, but for now, I'm looking forward to it.
You're watching Gamescom Studio right here on IGN. Atomfall is the upcoming survival action game set in northern England several years after a nuclear disaster. Here to tell me how it all comes together is Ben Fisher, Associate Head of Design at Rebellion. Welcome.
How you doing?
Let's talk about some Atomfall. I believe this was revealed earlier in the summer, and now you've got a new gameplay trailer out here for Gamescom. This is a first-person action RPG. Tell us about this game.
Okay, so like you say, it's a survival action game set in a 1950s north of England in a post-apocalyptic quarantine zone around the world's first major nuclear disaster in the Windscale plant. So it's an alternate history where we've taken a real-world event as an inspiration and then built a new world around that in the style of 1950s storytelling, 1950s speculative fiction. If you think of something like classic Doctor Who or the Quatermass Experiment, very early TV sci-fi, we've used those as reference points and inspiration and then built a game world that really we started with the game world itself and then the mechanics of the game kind of emerged from the setting.
Interesting. So post-apocalyptic, but we still see people, living together in a society. It doesn't seem like it's not like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome yet.
Sure.
It's like what's the sort of scenario and the setting here?
Well, that felt kind of British post-war. If you take the setting seriously and you think, how would people actually try and live in this situation? It would still be lush and green, but it's a green and unpleasant land. So people are trapped inside this quarantine zone and trying to get by, trying to survive. As we know from COVID times, people try and just live the best life they can in the situation they find themselves. So it's a real kind of keep calm and carry on mindset. But at the same time, the disaster that's trapped the people in this location is having a sort of an interesting influence on them. So everyone's, their way of looking at the world is kind of exaggerating and changing a little bit. So they're grouping into these factions to try and survive. As you explore the game, you don't fit into any one of these factions and you have to decide which ones you trust, which ones you think you should align yourself with. Some of them will tell you that they have a way of getting out of the quarantine zone if you help them uncover the mysteries in the Windscale plant, and it's entirely up to you who you trust or don't trust.
And who are we? Who are we playing at? What's our character?
That's part of the mystery.
Yeah?
So at the very, very start of the game, you wake up in a quarantine bunker with no idea of who you are. And when you look at the player's body, you've got gloves on, you've got sort of hiking gear. There's no signifiers of age, race, or gender. One of the reasons for that is that players can project themselves into the game. One of the reasons is we want that to be part of the mystery. In the sort of classic storytelling style, you set up a lot of mysteries, but don't necessarily fully resolve all of them. So at the same time, when you start playing the game, there's a red phone box, and as you walk past, it starts to ring, and you hear a voice talk to you. That's another one of the kind of mysteries in the game that we might not fully explain for you, but there are clues in the game to let you come to your own conclusion.
And then moment-to-moment gameplay. We've seen some combat here. Are you also taking on missions, quests for individuals?
Yeah. Well, this is one of the most interesting parts of Atomfall, is we wanted to give you a way of deciding who you were in the game world. And we found early in development that if we gave you a specific backstory, that told you who you were and it told you who your relationship was to other people. That's part of the reason that you're a mystery character. And during development, a new mechanic emerged. We don't have quests, we've got leads.
Okay.
And as you explore the game world, you might find leads by talking to people. You might find them buried in a metal detector box that somebody's hidden under the ground. And you choose which leads to follow, and you choose what leads to piece together. And as you explore, you find that most of the leads interconnect into this larger mystery. So no matter where you start, and no matter what story you get involved with, it all pieces together into one giant story. So there's no good guys and bad guys. There's no specific quests. There's just leads as you try and uncover what's happened.
Interesting. And then in terms of combat, are we just a regular human, or are there any sort of extra, abilities that you unlock through a skill tree or something like that?
Sure. What we wanted to do is give you the sense of desperately trying to survive in this brutal landscape. So we blend melee and ranged combat for the duration of the game. So you'll be firing guns, sure, but the ammo is scarce, and the guns are in bad condition because they've been in the rain for 5 years. And so we wanted it to feel more like a pub brawl than a war zone.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time you'll be kicking enemies to knock them back, or throwing a fire axe at them that'll stick in them if you've got the right skill. and mixing in a couple of bullets at the same time. And we've got options to avoid combat entirely. So if you've got a gun and they don't, you can point it at them and they'll back off. Or you get a lot of notice before they actually get into a fight. There's a threat system in the game where, depending on how close you are, depending on how threatening your behavior is, whether you've got a gun out, you'll escalate to combat quicker, or you may be able to avoid it entirely. One of the things we've done in the game is we've made sure that you could kill everyone.
Oh my gosh.
Or you could kill no one.
Nice.
And still find a way to the end of the game.
Rebellion is well known for the Sniper Elite series. Is there any Sniper Elite DNA in Atomfall?
Absolutely. So that's interesting as well, because there are definitely elements of Sniper Elite in there, and there were times where we had to resist that DNA. So the elements that are there is that Rebellion values giving the player an objective and then sandbox freedom on how to achieve it. As you explore, you find different methods to achieve that objective. And once you've achieved it, you find an exfil point, you find a way of escaping a location. And each mission in Sniper Elite is that structure. For Atomfall, we decided to attempt an experiment. What happens if you apply that template to an entire game? So that's where Sniper Elite became an influence, that sense of structured freedom. Where we had to resist that was when we were placing enemies, it became very easy to accidentally make kind of stealth combat puzzles, because in Sniper Elite, that's the encounter, right? Each encounter is like a puzzle, but we wanted it to feel a bit more unpredictable and a bit more desperate. So enemy positioning is slightly randomized, slightly procedural, changes over the course of the game, and you travel back and forth through multiple densely packed sandboxes, so your play experience will change over time as well.
Can you briefly address, I think there are survival and crafting elements, is that right?
Yes, there are, yeah. So, like I say, we want to make sure that the player always feels that they're desperately attempting to survive. So they're scavenging for materials, and they can craft things to help them heal, help them resist different kinds of damage, and like throwable grenades, Molotovs, those sorts of things. And their backpack is quite limited as well, and the resources are scarce. So the game is balanced so that you have to use all of those resources to try and survive.
Very cool. So Atomfall is coming next March, I believe, 2025, to a lot of consoles, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, PC, and it's coming to Game Pass.
Yes, Game Pass Day 1,
cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming by the IGN stage.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, we have lots more Gamescom ahead right here on IGN, so stick around.
Hi, my name is Sasha McKinnon. I'm the CEO and founder of Mino Games and the creator of Dimensionals. So Mino Games has been around for about 12 years. We've always, at our core, created these collectible character games. Our first game was Mino Monsters, which was very nostalgic of Pokemon. And now we're creating our first Steam and console game called Dimensionals. Dimensionals is a story-based roguelike RPG with dozens of heroes that you can collect and play as. So Koa's the protagonist, kid from Earth who gets beamed up into the rift and meets his grandfather, Gramps. And it turns out that Gramps has actually been the leader of the Dimensionals this entire time. And Koa is a newly united Dimensional, so he's got to learn the ropes really fast while everything's under attack. We also have Boop, and Boop is Koa's pet robot who Gramps made. Boop is also a Dimensional, and Boop and Koa are inseparable. Boop's like a really cute kind of puppy dog-like character. And we also have Magmama. She's the commander of the Dimensionals, and when Gramps is taken away in his epic fight with Ragnarok in the comic, Magmama's the one who's left in control. So Magmama really has to step up and become the leader of the Dimensionals. She's telling the Dimensionals where to go, what dimensions need saving, how to beat certain bosses. So she's pivotal as a commander in the game. You know, it's kind of like a weird mix between Pokemon and Marvel Snap and Slay the Spire, which obviously appeals to people who are very strategic and tactical. However, we've wrapped it up in a way where it's just very accessible. It's really a novel way to tell story in a roguelike. It's deeply inspired by Saturday morning cartoons and comics. The whole thing feels like a comic book. It's voice acted. We have animated comic book cutscene that actually plays not just in the prologue of the game, but throughout the entire story campaign. So whereas most games, especially in this genre, are niche, we've really tried to do our best to make this broad, accessible, and something that everyone can really love. So behind me you can see just a portion of our very, very large cast of characters. We have both the dimensional heroes, and we have some of the rogue rifters, and we have some of the bosses. So the heroes themselves each come from a different dimension. So let's take Shork, for example. Everyone loves Shork. He's like a big goofball cat shark, and he's kind of cute and dumb, but somehow wise. So he's from Atlantis, which is the water dimension. And then next to him, we have Fungas, who's kind of like a snobby little brat, and he's from Territory, which is the earth dimension. And we have the star dimension characters, air dimension, the fire dimension. So we'll be continuing to add more and more of these heroes into the game as we go. All of these are extremely unique in how they play. And what you do in the game is you take 3 of your favorites. So for example, maybe you want to take Tween Kill and Turbo Shell and Mag Mama, and each of them will have their own unique skills that you find during the roguelike. Now this means you can create insane combos, because the fire dimension is mostly focused on rage, whereas the speed dimension is focused on refresh and doing like a lot of small damage. So the selection of your heroes is actually really, really important to the gameplay. Plus, it's just really, really cool to have all these characters and unlock them. So here we are at the Dimensionals booth. You can see we have our happy hour going on. There's a bunch of people chilling, people playing the game. We're giving away free Happy Meals. And a big part of the reason we're doing this is because we're moving Dimensionals towards a full multimedia experience. We have already a comic, we have the TV pilot that aired on IGN, and we're moving into merch, and we're giving away a bunch of merch at the booth. We have soundtrack that is composed by Brad Breek. This guy did the Gravity Falls TV show. We've really, really lent into this multimedia experience. I'm actually want to showcase a bit of the animated comic cutscene, which you can see behind us. And this isn't just some standalone video. This is actually deeply integrated into the story of the game. So that was the Dimensionals booth tour. I hope you guys had a lot of fun seeing some of the games, seeing the characters, getting to experience the comic and some of the TV that we have going on. And Mino Games is an indie game studio. We're self-published. So if you love the game, or you love the characters, or anything you've seen here, wishlisting would help us immensely. You can also join our Discord. And if you're at Gamescom, come by. And now we've got something really special for you. It's our 90s style TV commercial. I hope you enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And I hope you have as much fun playing and watching Dimensionals as we did making it.
When the Rift is in trouble, the only ones you can rely on are... Dimensionals is the hottest new roguelike RPG. Put together incredible teams of unique heroes. Like Short, he's a bit of a dummy, but he loves blasting specters. Or the mysterious Shade Strike, the smooth-tongued gambler from the Shadow Dimension. Assemble your favorite heroes, strategize to make insane combos, but watch out, because Ragnarok's world-crushing bosses are no joke. Take on the Rift in style with the epic cartoon soundtrack by Brad Breek. Experience wicked comic cutscenes in Dimensionals campaign mode, or blast your way through the open rift and face incredible and unpredictable challenges. Encounter a huge cast of characters like the Rogue Rifters, here to help you take down the bad guys. Or are they? Side effects of Dimensionals will include fun, addiction to victory, temporary loss of reality, and spontaneous combustion due to awesome. Some assembly required batteries not included.
The average Cinefix movie list features nearly 100 different films and approximately 25 minutes worth of wall-to-wall deep dive analysis. To simulate that pace for this 30-second ad, we're featuring 26 different films, and before you say it, no, that math does not check out. We're not math people, we're movie people. We can't even count down from 10 without ending up at, like, 96. Subscribe to IGN Movies and TV for more Cinefix movie lists. Bad at math, great at movies.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection to the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways, ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners, and best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing today. Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help. IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. You can even track your progress with interactive checklists so you know you reached that 100% completion. IGN has the very best, most complete, and accurate guides. Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
Welcome back to Gamescom 2024, where we're here covering all the games on the show floor, but there's been one really special open world survival FPS game that I've personally been really looking forward to, Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl.
Joining us today to tell us all the details we could possibly want to know are game director Yevgen and technical producer Eugene. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
So I'm going to start off because you did share an exclusive trailer with us today. Can you go over some of the details that you revealed with this new trailer?
I can't add the details not to spoil the story part, because it's a very important character in the game, and it happened to be one of the main characters in the first Stalker game, so the fans of the game would understand him, right? But I don't want to add anything more, because it's important to stay as it is.
Just from my perspective, I would like to add that this character is one of my favorites.
In the trailer, we hear about the shining side, like the shining zone, and there's some really beautiful imagery that comes up in just a second. It feels like you're trying to show something a little different, a little more about the world.
It's the idea that the zone, it's both a horrible and terrible place where a lot happening, like people dies, and it's very risky to go there, but there is also a side that is also bring miracles and bring important things into your life, into these characters. So for many, it's the only place they want to stay and spend time.
Yeah.
So it's very important for them, and so it's about the zone. It's very different from different points of view. And for this character, the zone is different from the others.
Right, like just a second ago, we saw a meadow. That looked beautiful.
Yeah, it's the weird juxtaposition. But Eugene, I'm actually curious. So we did see that you did delay the game to November 20th. So what are you using that time for?
Yeah, so for now we're focusing mostly on optimizing the game and fixing the bugs. So we need to provide the most beautiful, the most stable, and the most amazing gaming experience that we ever made. So we are kind of focusing on that, and this is our main goal for now.
That's a lot of pressure, but I'm glad you're taking your time with it. We're all patiently waiting. It's okay.
How confident are you about the new release date, the November release date?
We're actually pretty confident. So you may try our game on the Xbox Series console during the Gamescom. So please come and join us and experience the zone the way you like.
All right. So, talking about the stories, I do believe that you told us that there are going to be 4 different endings, right?
3.
3, okay. Do you have a hint as to which one, if there was one canon ending, or if it's just all?
We can't highlight the canon ending, because, it's also important for players to reveal. Sorry for being so secret. For me, as a game director, it's very important so the players who start playing the game, they would get the experience. They are not get spoiled with some additional information. They get all these secrets discovered by their own. and the end of the story is one of the biggest secrets, and we don't want to give it now. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, but we'll have like a lot of consequences of the player actions and the player decisions. So each player should experience the zone with his own decisions and with his own actions.
Okay.
So it will be like mostly unique for everyone.
So for you personally, in your mind, there's not one true ending?
I guess everyone should find their true ending.
Okay.
That's really sweet. I love that as the tagline, even though it's a very kind of scary game. But so speaking of the main story, obviously there's a ton of content that you've been touting with this new, you said the storyline will only take about 40 hours, I believe.
So overall, to finish the game, for some players like me, it will take 1 hour, 100.5 of hours. But for many players, it will take much less time. But it's very different depending for the players, because you can take any big open world game and compare it to your friends, how much time do they spend. It would be so much varying. And we also expect to have a big replayability, because the story you get from the one walkthrough isn't in full. It's like 60% of the story, so you need at least 2 walkthrough to get 90% of the story, and you need 3 walkthrough to finish the story to get all this information. So it's really huge, and we are hoping the players would enjoy it and share their own story with each other. We have a lot of mechanics that are aiming for providing different experience for different players, so they could share their own little stories, which will be different.
This is a game with a lot of history, like a big fandom, but also with Stalker having come out some time ago, there's going to be a lot of brand new players. How difficult is it, like balancing the game for those new players and then the experienced fans who know everything about Stalker?
Thank you for this question. And each player should choose the game difficulty. So, for example, if you're not that experienced player with, especially with single-player shooter games, so you can just choose. We call it internally like story mode difficulty. It will be kind of challenging, but still, it provides you the focus on exactly on the storyline. So. It will be challenging some way or another, but still you may just enjoy the story, and there's a lot of amazing cutscenes and a lot of dialogues and a lot of characters. So.
We know a lot of players who are loving our game for its atmosphere of abandoned place, and they will be interested in story, but they are not experienced players. They don't willing to die a lot, and this story mode would bring these players the experience they would love. And we are thinking that it's very important difficulty for bringing the game to totally different audience from the hardcore shooter players.
Sure, 100%.
Yeah, Yevgen, I think we do have, I was looking at the blog posts that were posted, and you did state that one of the core drivers of the player's progression and power is through exploration, and you want to reward players for their curiosity. What would you say really drove that in this game? Like, what is the best example of that?
I guess it happens everywhere. So you just go to big location, you have a lot of options where to go. So there is no like one point that are magneting you to it, and you discovering the new places, and just looking nearby, you can find some unique gear, which is very powerful for this moment of your exploration, and you could easily miss this point and didn't get it here, or maybe find it much more in front of the game line. So it's a lot of examples for the player. They should just go for their interests, where they find something interesting for them, and it could be rewardful or not.
Yep, yeah. So risk reward.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for giving us so much freedom with a game like this. I get way too distracted by side quests and open world things, so I cannot wait to get lost in this world. Now, Stalker 2 is coming out this November 20th. For all of the up-to-date news on Stalker 2, be sure to check out IGN.com for all of the latest.
But for now, we've got a lot more Gamescom coming your way, so don't go anywhere.
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways, ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners, and best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection to the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
IGN Store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed to find something you love. There are new and exciting products hitting the store every week, like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. Plus, high-quality IGN Store exclusives like the powerful and spicy Star Wars Darkside Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning in to the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part? You don't even need to leave the house to go there. Just head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. The IGN Store. You deserve it.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing today.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a very special Gamescom edition of GameScoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. I'm joined here in Cologne, Germany, by Sam Claiborne.
We're actually here. It's
Rachel
so exciting.
Weber.
Hi.
And Justin Davis. And what a show we have for you this week. Great show. We're here on the show floor and at the Kohlmesse right here in Cologne. Yeah, wave to the people.
Hey,
Blow
they're
them
waving.
Kisses.
Aw.
And what do we have here? We're right in front of THQ Nordic, which has got Epic Mickey Rebrush and Reanimal and a couple other titles back there. Sega is right over here behind us. Right next to us is Crafton and the Sims killer. What is called
Inzoi?
Inzoi, something like that. It's like
Sonic the Hedgehog's right there. He's really big.
Get out of
with a
here,
bunch of
Sonic.
rings.
You know how we feel. Sonic is not welcome on my show.
I never said that, and Rachel never said that.
No, I said that, and Justin said that. And then the whole back is all Xbox, but the gigantic Xbox booth back there.
Yeah. It's a big booth. It's a big convention.
It's a really big convention.
It's got bigger. Last time I was here was 10 years ago, and this is
well, yeah.
huge.
This is just one hall of 10.
Yeah.
There are 10 halls.
And so there was always 2 halls at E3, and this is 5 times as big as E3.
Well, but sometimes there was the cursed Kensha Hall, which was
That's
always
right.
my favorite place.
The parking garage.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this seems like it's about 10 times as big as E3. I don't think people, we could talk about it later, but
We
I
can
don't
talk
think
about it
people,
now.
Okay, well, I don't think people understand what the scale of this is if they haven't been here. This is my first Gamescom, and it's truly cool to be back at a convention where there's a bunch of big things built. There's games to play, and there's people everywhere. I don't know. I haven't been to an E3-like thing since pre-COVID, and it's just remarkable.
I completely agree. I walked by a castle earlier.
Yeah.
Not like but like a constructed one inside.
And there's real castles outside.
There are
too.
actual castles outside. No, I loved E3, and E3, flipping through game magazines and reading their E3 issues is why I got into the video game
That's
industry.
right, the E3 issues.
It was formative for me, and I was very sad when it was gone. And Gamescom, Sam, this is my first Gamescom as well, and I didn't quite know what to expect. It's more public-facing, a little bit less industry than E3 was, and I think the vibe here is very positive. It's very great. Great energy. I'll tell you one thing I love is I love seeing all the families around.
I know, there's
it's got
so many
kind of a
kids in
festival
cosplay.
feeling to it. It's great.
Is it your first too?
No, but it was 10 years ago, my last one. So
Whoa.
it was much more kind of very European-centric.
Oh,
What was like the big game? Like, what was the...
So if it was 2014, it would have been Dragon Age Inquisition.
Is that right?
But I don't think they had a
He should
huge
play
presence.
Video Game 20
yeah.
Questions.
I have done that.
Just drawing that out of his mind like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but Dragon Age was I guess, somewhat
They
European.
still, the things like E3 was still going on, so they would spend all their money there. So Gamescom was kind of a smaller budget thing.
Okay, did you guys see the freaking tractor?
At the farming simulator?
Yeah. At Farming Simulator, they have like some kind of award-winning machine, and it's on a triangle-shaped tire tread, like a tank, and it looks like it could roll over any building ever built. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And they don't even have guards around it. You can just crawl up the ladder and get inside if you want.
They've just shipped
Drive it
in
off.
farming
drive it off.
Do you think they tugged it in here somehow on like a bunch of reins like King Kong? Or do you think they actually drove it?
Or helicoptered it down.
Yeah, the most difficult way.
There's
But
also
no.
just a California Highway Patrol car here.
Yeah,
for some
yeah, I felt like at home. It was just exactly the cops that pulled me over in my backyard, just right here, a CHP patrol car.
Some people just have budget to spend. There's an Overwatch Porsche. I don't know what the connection is there.
And it wasn't it like a transformer or something?
Yeah.
It's somehow a robot and a Porsche. But that's the thing. The builds look like Disneyland type stuff,
Yeah.
right? There's a big temple for Indiana Jones. There's probably something cool in the Assassin's
They
Creed
made a whole
booth. They
cantina
won't let me
for
in there.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Is that what's there?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has got like a whole Ren fair.
That one's
There's
amazing.
people
That's the
like
castle.
sword fighting castles.
And,
yeah.
and World of Warcraft has a castle too with rideable
A 4D
VR
ride,
machines.
yeah.
What?
Yeah, a 4D
Yeah.
mount that you.
Yeah. We
There's
should
some great
do it, but
footage
not
of,
not before
I'm
E-Day
being
or after
told
E-Day.
IGN made a whole package
Yeah.
about this 4D ride
Jane Douglas wrote
that
it for
viewers
us.
and listeners can go watch on youtube.com/IGN.
So I mean, we'll see. We're busy here at the show, so I'd love to get a chance to walk around. But there's like a retro game hall that I
Yeah.
haven't even been to yet.
We went to
And-
it. Imagine what types of retro games there are. They're all PCs.
Is this gonna make me sad?
No, they're amazing.
Okay,
They're like all crazy PCs.
They're all
with
speckies.
CRT monitors. Look at all
Good.
speckies.
No.
A lot of Atari S somethings.
But I think Gamescom does a good job of like gaming's for everyone,
Yeah.
whether you're into old games or indie games, big AAA games. Like that's the vibe that I get, and that's a big thing that I've enjoyed. Having only admired Gamescom from afar, being in here and in it, it feels good. Very positive.
And there's a machine for coffee and a machine for cigarettes.
Yeah,
There is,
great.
which I
the
haven't
big
seen
two.
Germany.
one of those in a long time.
And
Big two.
you can get a beer pretty much anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
Can we get?
Yep, right. Actually, let's work on that. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention at the top of the show. This is a play in 3 acts game scoop this week. We've got our A block here, which we're going to be talking about highlights from the show. Then we'll take a quick break, come back and do a catch in with Game of the Year watch, and then our final segment will be looking ahead. Now that this is sort of like the final big event of the year. We pretty much know what all the big games are coming out for the rest of the year now, so we're going to sort of make our list. What we want, play or nay? I think that's what we'll call it. Play or
Oh,
nay.
That's terrible.
Beautiful.
It's
No, that's
terribly
perfect.
good, I think is what, to finish your sentence for you.
Well, maybe for Germany it'd be Plein or 9.
9 or 9. Sam, you mentioned Indiana Jones. I think that counts as a highlight. As we predicted on Next Gen Console Watch, we did finally get a release date for that one. Oh, I'm sorry. We got released dates
We did.
for Indiana
We got a
Jones.
What does that
surprise
mean,
release
Damon?
Well,
there.
Justin, it's coming to Xbox Series X and S and PC on December 9th this year. Then are you sitting down, Justin?
I don't know.
It's coming to PlayStation 5 in spring 2025.
What PlayStation 5? But it's an Xbox game.
I, for one, am shocked.
Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
No.
I was shocked. I was shocked they said it right after announcing a bunch of Indiana Jones news, and I was shocked that it was not announced after maybe it came out on Xbox, like normally when things get ported. I was pretty surprised.
This is, there have been rumors about this coming, but yeah, I agree with Sam. I thought maybe,
Well, I guess I missed those rumors then, so maybe I'm a little out of it.
well, I thought let it come to
Rachel's
Xbox,
in tune.
let it have its moment on Xbox,
Exactly,
right?
yeah,
and
yeah.
then somewhere down the line announce it's coming to PS5.
But no, just wait a little
It's
bit.
money. It's money.
Well, yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
No,
is it-
there's good reasoning behind it, that's for sure. But usually there's not good reasoning behind things, so, But yeah, I got to see it.
You saw the game.
On
So
a
you
big-
got to see the
on a big
stage,
screen.
the sort of like theater
Oh, you went
presentation.
through the.
I did. I got a fedora at the end of it.
Ooh.
How am I going to get that home? I don't know.
Where?
Wear it.
Wear it home.
Can you imagine?
Yes, I can.
You'd be the
I love
coolest
it.
man on
But
the
where
plane.
where would I
it
get
here?
a matching bomber jacket?
Is it here right now? Can you get it in during our break? Can you get it and put it on?
Yeah, Corrado can go grab my hat.
Your assistant.
Right now.
Corrado is Sam's personal assistant.
His
Corrado,
hat
can you
butler.
get my Indiana
Follows
Jones hat from
him
the
everywhere.
table?
No.
and I will not be wearing it.
Tell us your impressions of gameplay of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, that's the problem, is that they keep on showing these, like, short segments of Indiana Jones, like, all chopped up. And then, you know, you're like, whoa, you can do this too, you can do this. So it's really hard for me to tell what do you do when you sit down and you're playing, you know, for your 2 hours in the evening. Because they were showing, you know, like temple solving, we know that's in there, right? They were showing like kind of a big panorama of Egypt which looked amazing. And then they would show like, and here's Indiana Jones going shopping. He's like, so what do you have for sale? Which is the weirdest thing to see, you know, the impression of Harrison Ford doing that.
Oh, yes.
I mean, if ever a man was made to wear a fedora.
No.
Iconic. It works really good.
Good dice, huh? Yeah, they gave out these paper fedoras to everybody that watched Indiana Jones. But I got another thing here. I didn't just see Indiana Jones, because they got me in that theater and they tricked me by showing me Starfield.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay.
that happened.
God damn it. They've got
Yeah.
to show
The
it to
Shattered
people
Space?
somehow.
It didn't look
DLC?
bad. Yeah, I thought it looked pretty good, actually. It was
Yeah.
actually like a different planet and a different faction compared to all the samey stuff that we've seen already. So be it.
I mean, I think like Starfield wasn't my favorite game, but I think the premise of the Shattered Space DLC and answering some of the open questions from the base game with, oh gosh, now I'm forgetting the name of the faction, but the serpent people that are in Starfield,
It's like Way of the Serpent or
yeah,
something
the
like
DLC
that.
supposedly like really focuses on that
Oh, I
storyline.
love
And to
that
me,
bit.
that was like the most
Yeah.
interesting part of the game. So maybe it'll be enough to pull me back in. I thought like what they showed here at Gamescom looked cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of serpents, Indiana Jones does not like snakes.
No, he doesn't.
I've never heard
Oh
that.
my gosh, that was another thing. So they were doing like a lot of the scenes they were showing were reflecting movie scenes, like a little, like they got to do that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But there's like a whole like taking the the idol off a
This
thing,
Indiana
but it's
Jones
not a
footage
monkey.
looks crazy.
Yeah, and you take the idol off the monkey, and then he puts it on the ground, and like then like the thing goes down, and this room starts shaking. Like that all happened. There was more than that. There was also a scene that was just the exact snakes scene with scorpions.
That's weird.
Why did it have to be scorpions?
Yeah, why?
I don't like them either.
Who
I
does?
also hate scorpions.
Yeah, it's like his dad didn't like rats, right?
Yeah.
And so like his best friend that's with him in this, I hate scorpions. You're like, really? You hate scorpions? Come here, little guys.
My biggest worry for it is that Uncharted has already won the being an adventurer and a Tomb Raider.
And Tomb Raider
Yeah.
has too.
But if they're not making them, then I mean,
That's true.
There's a gap year.
It's true.
Right.
gap
But what
decade.
you hit on something really important is that those games are really fun, and I understand what to do in them and what's happening. And there's these kind of open area arenas in Tomb Raider, and I know Uncharted was getting towards that. I just can't tell what this is. I don't know if you just play through movies and then you go shopping and you come back to playing through movies again. Like I just don't know what's happening in it at all. And also, honestly, the fist combat.
Yeah.
No? First
I don't
person
know.
fist combat?
Pistol seems funny and cool, but like, yeah.
Did you see that the game acknowledges the Disneyland ride?
I did, and in the demo I saw, or whatever, the video I saw, it extended that. So, you know, I actually have the original, I believe it's Pepsi translator card from when the ride opened. And we at Disneyland have taken it with us before to do that.
I did that too.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Yeah, still have that, but I'm sure it just says something about, you know, beware the eye. There's another thing that happens when you get knocked out in the game. You get a chance to have, like, I think they called it like a hero moment or something like that. So what happens is, you know, you get knocked out, and what it shows is it shows your hat hit the ground, and then like you have to like, I don't know, crawl towards your hat, and then you pick up that you're dead, but you're crawling towards your hat, and then you pick it up and you put it on, and then it does this little cutscene. It's like dun 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 dun, and then you're back to the fight.
Yeah, I'll never
That's going to
get
be
tired
fun.
of hearing
Yeah,
that.
the first 3 times.
It's I know. Can you imagine? Like, it's just so. I think this studio makes amazing
Yeah.
games, and I'm
Machine games,
so excited to play this game. But it just seems really hard to make an Indiana Jones game.
I hope we see, because, you know, they're showing off a lot of stuff at shows, but I hope when I get the final game, it has some of that machine games mischief and
Yeah.
darker humor in it as
It's gonna have a
well.
lot of Nazi killing. So
Who doesn't like that?
that's a machine game's standard.
Brian McCaffrey has a hands-off preview that was very positive, but he said it's so Riddick. And I don't, is that like it's so Wizard?
Yeah,
Like,
that's Wizard,
trying to-
Annie.
Is he trying to make Riddick happen? Stop
Yeah,
trying to make
that's
Riddick
so Raven.
happen.
Yeah, I've never played that Riddick game.
Anybody?
I hear good things though.
Yeah,
so-
me too. For like 20 years. Like, you should play that Riddick game. Sorry.
Okay, another highlight I think from this week: Secret Levels.
It looks amazing.
This new show, Amazon Prime Video, from the creators of Death, Love, and Robots on Netflix. It's going to be an animated anthology series about a bunch of different video games, and there's a lot. There's a lot here, and some of them are cool and exciting. Some of them are like, that's an interesting choice.
Product placement?
I mean, maybe. Well, let me run through the list real fast here. So we've got, in alphabetical order, Armored Core, which seems to star Keanu Reeves. Concord, which Justin didn't even remember what it was, even though it's coming out in 3 days. Crossfire, I don't really even know what that is. Dungeons & Dragons.
Is that the game where you hit the Hungry Hippos thing?
Yeah.
And there's all those little balls that go around. It goes, Crossfire.
Dungeons & Dragons, not exactly a break. When we return, we'll continue our discussion of Secret Levels and then check in with Game of the Year Watch, catch you in 2 minutes. What was 2 and 2, the old Love Connection guy? We'll see you in 2 and 2.
IGN store has it all. From clothes and collectibles to vinyl records, accessories, model kits, and action figures from the biggest and best franchises like The Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, Fallout, Dungeons & Dragons, and more. Whatever your pop culture passion, you're guaranteed to find something you love. There are new and exciting products hitting the store every week, like the Wasteland-ready Fallout Vault 33 hoodie, which pairs perfectly with the working wearable Pip-Boy. Plus, high-quality IGN store exclusives like the powerful and spicy Star Wars Darkside Hot Sauce by Truff. We've even got merchandise for you to rock while tuning into the IGN shows and podcasts you love. Or cap off a long day by relaxing to the soundtracks of your favorite video games, like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us. And the best part? You don't even need to leave the house to go there. Just head to store.ign.com and start shopping today. The IGN Store.
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on Cinefix, IGN, and wherever you get your podcasts.
Why so serious?
And we're back. It's GameScoop at Gamescom in Germany. We're here on the show floor. If anybody is walking by, I think our audio is being pumped out there. If you'd like to watch the backs of our heads while we talk about video games, feel free to pull up a chair. And then after the show, Justin, what do you think about my shirt that I'm wearing right now?
Well, Damon, I'm glad you asked. I love the shirt you're wearing right now.
Thank you.
We're selling them.
Get one.
Well, Rachel, you can get one around the corner here. We're selling IGN merch at the IGN merch booth behind the Gamescom studio.
Yeah.
Now, Justin, I have lots of shirts, but I need pants.
I can't help you there.
Well,
that's a personal issue.
An underserved market for IGN pants.
Yeah. What do you
Anyway, we were just discussing this Secret Levels animated anthology show that's coming. Let me continue running down the list of games that are included. We left off, there's Pac-Man. There's Outer Worlds 2, which is interesting because that game's not even out yet.
Yeah.
Then there's just added in post, as always. What has changed? There's been 2. So now we have awarded 2 games a 10 out of 10.
Ooh.
But they're not typical full releases. There's Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, which is an expansion. And then there's Hades 2, which is still in early access. Only 2 games to get 10. Other than that, there haven't been any really new additions. I think the last time we talked about this, we kind of felt like Helldivers 2 and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth were the front runners. Several other 9s like Unicorn Overlord and Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and Tekken 8, games like that. But I don't know, do we feel like things have shifted? Rachel, what do you think? Has the front runners shifted? And what do we do with Erdtree? What do we do?
Not for me. I think Hades is a good shout, even if it's in early access. But for me, I'm biased because I'm all about Dragon Age. Putting my hopes on that to be Game of the Year
all your
level.
eggs in the Dragon basket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I need it. I need it to be, we had Baldur's Gate last year.
And everything you've seen looks like it's going to be good so far? Yeah. Okay. Nice. That's a good sign. What about Thank Goodness You're Here?
Amazing. If you haven't played it, it's like a little indie. Is
that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay.
With very
She
strange
recommended it to
humor.
me.
Yeah, about the British North. Some of the jokes I had to explain to Sam, but it's definitely worth checking out.
Game of the Year?
No. But nearly.
Unreviewed. Unreviewed. Unloved and unreviewed. No, we love it. It's really cool.
Yeah. You could loved but unreviewed.
Loved but unreviewed. They're clapping for it right now out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they're clapping for. I don't know, what do we think? Is it still Final Fantasy VII and Helldivers 2?
I mean, both those games have not necessarily had the sticking power. Like, look, they deserve their good review scores. Like, they're both amazing games, but sometimes you get the benefit of time as, the months go by, that Game of the Year kind of starts to crystallize of like, something seems like it's going to be amazing and it pops, but then 3, 4, 5 months later, people are like, maybe it was a little bit overhyped, but then sometimes the opposite happens, like appreciation for a game grows and there's a groundswell of support over the course of the year. And my read is that Rebirth and Helldivers 2, again, they deserve their good review scores, but I don't really feel like that they've really risen in esteem as 2024 has gone on, is the vibe that I get.
Well, do you have a vibe that there is sort of a favorite right now?
Ooh, good question. I mean, I don't
like
know.
At this time last year, we were thinking Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
That's what Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate emerged as the consensus picks.
That's why I feel like this year yet we haven't had that. Everyone agrees this is an amazing game. This is.
I think if I had to think about like what our staff thinks, I think Helldivers is the choice. Just because they all had fun in groups and with friends and stuff like that. I think that's might be people get around. But there's also the Elden Ring contingent, right? So that makes it tough.
I mean, even Erdtree, again, got a 10 out of 10. Fantastic expansion. Let's just pretend it's eligible for the sake of this discussion. We don't want to send it up to the Supreme Court to decide, But even that kind of came and went, had its moment in the sun, right?
Yeah.
I think, there are still many games to come, but if we were picking right now, voting right now, I would probably argue for an exception for Erdtree, because it's an expansion, but
you're not allowed to until you beat it, though.
It's as bigger or bigger. I'm right at the end, Sam.
Yes,
I've
been hearing that for weeks.
I guarantee I'm farther than most people.
You're farther than me.
You're at the final boss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one beats games, right, Justin?
Well, I mean, I don't.
Just the stats. The stats say that.
Yeah. No, my Game of the Year pick personally, probably Balatro still. Balatro and Unicorn Overlord 2, which, deeper cuts, I don't expect them to win a lot of Game of the Year awards, but...
Those are my 3. Balatro, Unicorn Overlord, and Erdtree. Those are my games.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
But Sam, what of Prince of Persia and the Lost Crown?
Yeah, I mean, you've heard me say this before. That's still the best game I've played. It's been a while now, so I need to play some good games. But I have really a lot of interest in Outlaws and Assassin's Creed. So we got two
big stuff coming the end of the year. So
and I'm into Dragon Age. I want it to be good. They just keep on showing that same purple level.
Look, I know, but I need it just spiritually, emotionally. I have to believe that it's going to be.
I can't even tell what type
RPG
of game it
me.
is. Still, I want to see more.
It's
I'm
a
glad
role-playing game.
Well, maybe. I mean, it was obvious from the previous games that they're role-playing games, but...
Going to be able to romance a bunch of cool, good-looking people.
3.
Only 3? Ooh. Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah, you can romance more people in Cool Spot.
I don't think that's true.
No.
I don't think there are any people in
There's no way to know.
Are we looking ahead? So it's like you name-dropped Assassin's Creed. It's hard to say, go ahead.
Well, first I wanted to hear from Rachel. You're a big Dragon Age fan.
Yeah.
So what's been your favorite Dragon Age game so far?
It was the last one. It was
Inquisition.
Yeah,
they're getting better.
It was just, the characters were so well rounded. There was that real feeling of, the whole team's come together, and now we're going in for one final battle, and it's all very emotional. And some will live, some will die. So yeah.
That was very similar to Mass Effect. Like they both had that same trajectory, and I thought that worked really well for BioWare. And
I want BioWare to come back punching, you know?
Me too. I'm rooting for them.
I would love to see the return of BioWare. But
like this, they pick up the hat, it goes dun 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 dun.
That's BioWare.
Punch, 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 punch.
But Rachel, up to this point, what's been the best game you played this year?
I think it has to be Helldivers, as much because the community around it was crazy, and it was just a really fun time to be into that game, and it brought back Starship Troopers love.
Yeah, and it felt next gen in the ability for it to morph and change each week and like have the orders and stuff like that. It was really cool.
Okay, Justin, now we may look ahead.
Got it. Thank you. No, I mean, Rachel name dropped Assassin's Creed earlier. It's hard. Like sometimes look, you never know for sure if a game's going to be good or not. It comes out and it gets reviewed and put through its paces, but sometimes we have a very good idea, like this is looking great, this is looking shaky, but I feel like a lot of the 2024 games still coming out are kind of like, it's hard, like maybe Indiana Jones is amazing, maybe it's not a Game of the Year candidate. I feel that about Outlaws, I feel it about Assassin's Creed. Like, it's not as sort of obvious and apparent going into the back half of the year which ones are going to be the Game of the Year front runners and break through. So,
a behind the scenes take on Indiana Jones is interesting in two ways. In one way, it won't make cutoffs for some people's Game of the Year awards, right? Yeah. But in another way, it'll have that late release bias, where people will just be playing it and it just be like, well, I'll vote for the game I'm playing right now because it's so fun. Maybe it'll win in both ways.
Yeah. It's probably going to be too late for our own awards. Unless we plan for that and make exceptions.
Yeah, it's tough. We've done that before. I mean, Cyberpunk, I believe, came out like basically the same date, and we just had to get everybody playing it as soon as possible, and it was a really fun effort to get everybody on PCs that can play that game.
Yeah, it is that's a little bit of inside baseball, is that Game of the Year awards are voted on by a large swath of the content team, and they have to get access to the game, which sometimes is very easy and sometimes isn't, so that can play a part.
But you can vote in a face-off about Game of the Year right now that we add to every single month, which now that I think about it, the cumulative votes are going to be a little bit confusing for late arrivals, but we'll math it out.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Maths.
I do want to shout out, there is a big World of Warcraft expansion.
That's another one. That's coming out very soon, right?
Yeah, I think early access starts like kind of right now in the next week or two.
You have to have that 4D harness to play it, right?
Yeah, you got to strap you in. Look, sorry, guys. No, I mean, WoW's had some down years. I've been a World of Warcraft player off and on for almost my entire life, which is weird to think about. And it seems to be coming back. New expansion seems to have great buzz behind it. Again, like depending on how awards work, maybe it is or isn't eligible for Game of the Year. But I hope that the expansion is well liked and will earn a spot in some end of year lists.
How is it for you going back in were you an addict and now you have to kind of?
No, I mean I'm pretty good about like modulating. Like it's not like, okay, time to ruin my life for another 3 months and resubscribe to WoW.
Goodbye, family.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty good about like, sometimes people, like I remember making fun of like Destiny players of like, I've done everything there is to do in Destiny and I'm mad and there's no more to do. And it's like, put it down and go play something else. Like you don't need to play it for life. And that's how I am with MMOs. Like there's several of them that I bounce around between, but maybe I'll not be in it for a year and then come back and subscribe for another month or two. But
do you have a cool mount?
Oh yeah, I got hella cool mounts. I got so many. I got
what?
I got a big cat.
Nice.
I got a skeleton horse.
A skeleton horse?
I got a bunch of birds.
I have one of those in Zelda.
Yeah.
Birds?
Yeah.
You're allowed to fly?
There's flying mounts, yeah.
Flying mounts was a big deal.
Dragons, flying, you can ride a dragon.
That's what those people are doing.
Yeah.
Getting sick doing it.
Well, now I'm starting to see what the category for best expansion will be. It'll be Erdtree, World of Warcraft, Starfield,
the Final
Shattered
Shape.
Space,
Vessel of Hatred.
Final Shape, and what was that?
Vessel of Hatred, Diablo.
Yes, I was just going to say that one too.
Yeah, crazy. It's an expansion year.
Always, just like the universe, always expanding.
Always expanding. Just like the Nintendo 64's controller.
Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. I cannot explain that to you. Yeah, so that the World of Warcraft expansion is coming up next week, but before that is Concord. The PlayStation's next.
I'm so confused about Concord.
It's not free to play, but it is a service shooter. It's a hero shooter. It's their answer to Overwatch. It's a colorful kind of sci-fi Guardians of the Galaxy-ish world, but I don't think there's a lot of hype or excitement about that one. I don't know. We're going to see. But that's coming out very soon. Just sort of running down the list of game releases that we have come up. Sam, tell everyone why they're so excited for August 29th.
I forgot what August 29th.
It's because when Shadow of the Ninja Reborn comes out.
I don't know what
that will put to rest all discussion of Game of the Year.
What's Shadow of the Ninja? I remember that game from like 2010 or something like that.
No, like 1991.
Oh, that Shadow of the Ninja.
Yeah.
That's not a good game.
It's a very good game.
No, it's not.
It's a very good game.
1991?
With very good. It's a late NES action game with great music, and they're making like a 16-bit style sequel to it with some of the original team. And
Maybe in another 20 years they'll make a 32-bit, like a PS1
Why
version
not?
of it. Yeah, why not?
Why not? Anyway, that one's coming out for me. But then on August 30th is Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah.
Which a lot of us are playing, Sam.
Yeah.
We can't play it because we're here right now, but I'm totally excited to get home and jump into Star Wars Outlaws.
I know. I can't wait. You can play it here.
Well, yeah, I can't. But some people can.
He's chained to the stage.
Guys, you got to let Damon out once in a while. Like, let him roam.
That is not the contract.
Got it. He's
Star Wars Outlaws. It's a play for me, play for Sam, play for Rachel.
Yeah.
Play for Jess.
100%.
Yeah, we're gonna.
It'll just be. I'm not a huge. I love Star Wars, but I'm not a super nerd. But it's
That's
just
okay.
a big adventure that I want
It's
to
okay
play.
to just love Star Wars and not obsess over
And not
it
be angry.
This
and
probably
argue over it.
explains a lot of what you need to know, I'm sure. There's not even lightsabers in this game as far as we know.
As far as we know.
What was that you just said about Star Wars, Damon? Can you?
No, it's already gone.
You're allowed to just like it.
Yeah,
you don't have to be.
Yeah, that's true though. You can just like Star Wars. You don't have to obsess over it.
I don't think that's right.
Okay.
I don't think.
Let's just move on. Well, before I get into any more hot water, it's time for one more break. And we'll take a look at the rest of the games that we're excited to play that are coming out in the rest of 2024. We will be right back. After these messages, we'll be right back.
And then the dog does something.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection to the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways, ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners, and best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
IGN has the most thorough, easy-to-use, and high-tech maps out there. IGN maps load faster with more markers than ever and are built for your phone as your constant companion to the biggest games. So start checking off markers for the game you are playing today. Can't find that final collectible you're missing? IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help. IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and best of all, free. You can even track your progress with interactive checklists so you know you reached that 100% completion. IGN has the very best, most complete, and accurate guides. Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN when you search for guides.
Welcome back to a very special Gamescom edition of GameScoop. We talk about some highlights of the show. We've talked about Game of the Year Watch. And now we're taking a look at all the games that we know are coming the rest of this year and getting excited to play that we were just talking about. World of Warcraft, War Within, Star Wars Outlaws. And then right after Star Wars Outlaws, just a week later is Astrobot. The next big PlayStation.
Oh man, I kind of forgot about Astrobot.
I know, don't forget. You never forget about Astrobot.
But I did.
But don't.
Okay, got it. I won't.
September 6th is Astrobot. That's a big play for me, Sam.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it's more Mario 64 than Star Fox, I'll be happy. But it looks like it has a good balance of both.
I don't think it's very Star Fox.
I don't know. They show that ship a lot.
Yeah, I think there's some flying sections, but I think that's where it ends.
That's what people told me about Star Fox.
No one told you about. No one said that about Star Fox. Rachel, is that a play for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it would be great just to dust off the old PS5.
Oh my gosh, you haven't been using your PS5. Well, I mean, I understand there hasn't been a big exclusive, but sure, got it.
This is just Star Fox. I don't know why I'm
This
being
is not
trolled
Star
by
Fox.
Damon.
Look, this is Star Fox.
No, he just on the dinosaur planet.
Look at how cute and charming it is.
It's so
like,
good.
Everyone think like if it's like 3D platformers, there's a million of them.
Oh,
but
look
like
at-
There really aren't.
kind of there aren't really that
No.
many, right?
No,
So-
there's not. That's really true. And also, this is just I like it when there's kind of a theme.
Yeah.
Like Smash Brothers has, which is like just Nintendo. This one's just Sony. I just think it'll be cool to find all the Sony.
I'm so glad to see Astrobot not stuck in VR. You
Yes.
know, heck, like
Yeah.
the pack-in game with the PS5 was so delightful and charming, but it was a little pack-in thing. Like it was over in an hour or two. So to see Astrobot get a second chance at life and sort of like reach a more mass market audience, mainstream audience, pumped. It's gonna be great.
Yep.
Super excited for
Honestly,
that one.
like really, the game of the
the-
year, dark horse. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
He's the new Sackboy for PlayStation.
I hear it's 80 hours.
80 hours long. On September 17th is the Plucky Squire. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that one.
And that one's going right into PS Plus.
That one has a good look to it.
Yeah.
They've got a cute booth as well. You can go and be
Here?
in the you can go
Oh, I
and be
haven't-
in the Plucky Squire.
Do you remember which hall? 1, 2,
No.
3, 4,
One of
5,
the big
6,
ones.
7, 8, or 9.
or 10.
Yeah, I got to check that out.
Yeah, this is one where you jump from the pages of a storybook and come out into the 3D world. You're 2D in the storybook, 3D in the real world.
Great
quote-unquote
design.
real world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like obviously the art, the whole premise of the game. It's like we've talked before on the show. Like some games like Civilization 7, we know are going to be amazing, but they're hard to make a trailer for. They're hard to kind of show off. This game's the exact opposite, right? Like you see that moment of jumping from 2D to 3D, and you're like, oh man, like it's so cool.
I get it. I want to do that.
Yeah, but I do wonder about the gameplay. It's like, is it going to be interesting to play? Like it's interesting art.
Yeah.
God, you just want everything.
Yeah. Well, look, I want it to look good and play good.
What a diva. Okay, September 19th is Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, or Dur as the kids like to say. And then September 24th is Epic Mickey Rebrush, which is happening over there. I would have said this, no one was asking for this, but there's a pretty big line of people waiting to check out that game. So
Well, Disney fans be Disney fans.
I guess you're right about that.
I never played it on the Wii, so.
It was a Wii exclusive originally.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange? September 26th is The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I assume we're all going to play that one.
I think
so
we have to.
Hyped.
We are required to play that one. It's true. But also excited.
Yeah, I hope it's good enough to be a Game of the Year contender as well.
I just hope it's not watered down Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's going to be simplified because it's lacking a camera angle that you can turn and stuff like that, right?
But it could still be,
I think Nintendo has just not let us down in a Zelda in a really long time.
Yeah.
It would just be so unusual.
In 15
even
years.
the 15 years. I
Or
don't know.
Skyward Sword.
Okay, I was like,
Wow.
I'm trying to do the math on like
You can't
what that
say
would've been.
that. You can't say that on a thing that people
I said
can
it.
get
I
mad
said
at.
it. What are you going to do, Sam?
We're going to have to
Skyward
shut down the internet for a week now.
It's me.
So, I mean, a lot of the focus on that game has been on the art style and on how, it's different after Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom did their thing with Zelda. But, like, sort of an underrated discussion point is that you play as Zelda, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a big
People have
deal.
been-
Like,
People have been asking for that for a long time.
30 years
Yeah.
people have wanted that. Like, I have 2 girls that are very excited to be playing as Zelda when they see this game coming out. And, it looks really cool. I share the same, like Sam, I wouldn't characterize what you shared as concerns, but just like, it's more of an unknown, right? Like, well, let's just see what we get when it comes out.
I think Nintendo is so good now at giving us open-ended puzzle solving. They're the
Right?
only company that's doing that.
The bravery to like,
exactly.
just let them put chairs and tables wherever they want.
I think I can see that in this, and if it's
I hope
just
that's what I'm hoping.
yeah, and maybe it'll be simplistic, but like we haven't even seen what dungeons look like, really. We haven't really even seen what the open world's like. Now, it is strange that it's just actually set in Hyrule. Like the one from Link to the Past, basically, that was also used in the sticker wall game one. But maybe there'll be a variation on the world or something like that too. We got the depths, we got Dark Worlds, we got Majora's Mask type stuff. We'll see.
September 30th is the Starfield Shattered Space expansion. Then getting into October, the 4th is the Until Dawn remake. which is cool that that's happening. But then the 8th is Silent Hill 2, and I feel like there hasn't been a lot of buzz about that one. I mean, I hope it's good.
I'll go back in.
Yeah.
Like Silent Hill 2 is a major game for me.
Yeah.
As a huge horror fan, so. But the stuff I've seen feels like it's missing the gut punch of the original Silent Hill 2. Like they've just sanded the sort of sharper edges off. So.
Really?
We'll see. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know the series at all. You can tell that already, that it just looks like kind of dulled.
Yeah, I mean for me, but maybe that's I'm being nostalgic.
Yeah, I mean I was hoping that would be like a leader in survival horror games usually are a leader in graphics, and they just are the best looking games around. And this does not look like the best looking game around. That's okay. It could just be a really fun game, but that's one thing about I think the horror genre is good at is pushing the limits of this looks next gen and it looks amazing, especially if it's a remake. So Resident Evil 4, I mean, oh my god.
And Dead Space remake.
Yeah, and they just push the limits. I love those games.
Yeah. So we'll see how that one turns out. Sam, on October 17th, you're gonna play Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Yeah, that's my spooky season game.
Cool. It is pretty spooky.
Really spooky, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I usually review the Mario Party, so we'll see if that happens this year. This one, it looks better. It looks like the whole idea is that they're trying to address that there's not enough content in those games, that it's not enough just to have 5 game boards and move on. So,
the day after is the game that we were talking about last week, the Retro Realms, the new Halloween and Evil Dead games. Did you catch these, Justin?
No. What?
Yeah, I know. They're making 2 different 16-bit platformers.
What?
One of them is based on Halloween.
Cool.
I mean, maybe. What? I hope so.
What do you mean?
Well, he's concerned that, like in Halloween, you don't really go on a stabbing spree. It's more about
Halloween is a very slow-paced, methodical.
predatory.
But you're playing as Mike Myers, just slashing through dozens and dozens of people. So it's a little bit like, okay, it's a little bit more Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You got to break out of the mental institution somehow.
Yeah, that's true.
You can either do stealth.
I mean, it makes sense for
stabbing.
Evil Dead.
Remember that scene in Halloween where he's just driving the car?
Yeah, that's what the movie is. He's not just.
Yeah, but in this, there's a bunch of people in front of the car.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. Have some fun. October 26th is Black Ops 6. No, big game.
Yeah.
Launching into Game Pass, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then, Rachel, on Halloween night, you're just going to be home playing Dragon Age: The Veilguard? That's a good Halloween.
Pretending I'm not in for the trick-or-treaters. And
okay. Yeah, no. Lights off outside. All the lights off, just playing. Do not disturb. I'm playing Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
It would be really cool if it was
the window. We know you're in there.
It would be cool if it was like a Halloween-y game. We didn't know that. That'd be cool. But I don't think so.
There'll be some scary parts in it.
Maybe.
If there's a skeleton in it, then it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's very purple.
November 7th is Mario and Luigi Brothership. I'd almost forgotten about that one.
Yeah, that one looks good.
Yeah, that game came out of nowhere at either the last Nintendo Direct or one of the recent ones and instantly won everybody over. They're like, okay. I'm in for some more Mario and Luigi.
Yep.
I mean, it's a great franchise. I mean, I like out of all the Mario RPG franchises, it's my favorite. I like it more than Paper Mario. Yeah, I always have. I think they're sort of silly and goofy and a little bit more lighthearted. Well, so is Paper Mario. I don't know. I like them. I like them all.
And then November 14th is Dragon Quest III, the HD 2D remake.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've never played 3. I know Jared Petty, friend of the show, and many other people that have played all the Dragon Quests.
Drockway.
Drockway. Is that 3 and 5 are sort of generally considered some of the very best ones, and 3 I've never played, so good candidate for a remake, I think.
And it just looks so good.
I just can't wait to have these as an anthology. Just this is the way you can play Dragon Quest for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
The day after that is Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I believe we're all excited for.
Oh, yeah.
Then the 20th, this is an interesting one, Stalker 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's a wait and see for me. I've never played Stalker 1, so.
Well, that is kind of doing what I'm talking about, which is kind of pushing the limits of graphical intensity with horror. I mean, it could be a game that's a real looker.
Could be.
I just want to point out Darth Vader's walking by.
Oh my gosh. Everybody be cool.
Sorry. Sorry.
And then, of course, December 9th is Indiana Jones. And then sometime in December is Lego Horizon Adventures. Which is, again, a little bit of an
this
odd.
year on Switch, too.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
PS5 and Switch.
That's what I mean about these games being again, sometimes you just get a vibe from a game. Oh, yeah, I can tell that's going to be great. But Lego Horizon, maybe that game's amazing, right? Maybe it's so fun and so cute, and then maybe it's just kind of meh. Just have to get our hands on it and see. Read the review.
I think all
on
these games sound
IGN.com.
so playable.
Yeah,
like it
playable.
just sounds like a fun fall.
I think so too.
It's not. It doesn't have an immediate AAA standout. Maybe Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty or something like that. But like I'm really excited to try everything. It's a good fall. Suddenly, suddenly like that.
I know Rachel's number one pick is Dragon Age. So if you're going to pick the one game you're most excited
It's
for,
Zelda.
Zelda. Echoes
Yeah,
of
yeah. I mean,
Wisdom.
but both Ubisoft games are just right there.
Yeah. I'm definitely into the Ubisoft games. What do you think, Justin? Number one.
I can't pick just one.
Yeah, you can.
I blacked out. I don't remember any of the games we just talked
I
about.
will assign you a game, and it will be Shadow of the Ninja Reborn.
Great. I mean, that sounded cool.
Yeah, it does sound cool. I'll pick Astrobot. Very excited.
Wow.
For
No, I forgot about it.
Okay, you can have Astrobot.
You can have
I
Shadow
pick
of the Ninja.
Shadow of the Ninja
Great.
Reborn. A couple other odds and ends to pick up that have fallen out of Gamescom this week. Borderlands 4 was announced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Well, after that movie, they left them wanting more, and here we are.
Which is it? Was that planned to sort of like be a victory lap after the movie? Or was it like in the wake of the movie, we're like, let's get a little teaser trailer
I think
together?
it's planned. And jokes aside, like Nintendo should have announced a freaking giant Mario game after the Mario movie. Like, it made so much sense. Now, even better than that would be when the things are out concurrently, like
the
the
way it
good
used
old
to be.
days where every movie had a stupid video game with it, including Chronicles of Riddick.
I would like us to stop getting a graphic and us calling it like an announcement. Like, I'm still sore about
What about a tattoo?
Elder Scrolls. Like, where's that?
Yeah,
stop showing as just a title card.
Yeah.
That's basically what this is. I think it's like 90 seconds long, but all it is this.
Yeah, Randy
What-
Pitch would have said, oh, there's secrets in it, but
What about the Mass Effect legs?
Yeah. 10 years ago or
well,
whatever
also
it was.
it's always like, oh, that massively successful series, we'll probably make another one.
Should we make another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's for investors or what. It would be nice. I mean, I don't mind if they do that. If like the next day there's a trailer, and then like a few months later it's out. Like that's fine.
I mean,
give
they
me the
do-
title screen. But when it's the 10 years after the title screen,
Like, I
Metroid
understand
Prime.
you have to announce your video game. Like, yeah, we're working on this video game, but teaser trailers are hard to get excited about. But, they're mood pieces always, right? Like, I don't know if you're going to bring it up. Like, Mafia announces a teaser trailer. Like, okay, I'll play that game.
Best one ever, Fallout 3.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was the
Because you got a full
yeah.
sense of what was going to happen just from the stupid teaser, and it was playing that song about setting the world
Yeah, I
on
think
fire. Never
Rockstar do
changes.
it best. They just go, here, look, bam, like here's
Yeah.
here's the next GTA.
Smell a feature here. Best teaser trailers.
That's
Yeah,
good.
I like it.
But no, the listeners don't. Just forget that. We'll let us handle that. I don't know about Borderlands. I liked Borderlands 1, loved Borderlands 2, got pretty bored with Borderlands 3. It just feels like peak Borderlands was like 2012, and here we are.
What if they made a Lego Borderlands?
I mean, sure, you can make a Lego out of everything.
It was also like everybody talks about Handsome Jack and the writing and the memorable characters, but like it's also in 2012, like RPG shooter hybrids and character powers was a lot more kind of innovative, fresh thing than it is now, where now that's just kind of every video game.
Yeah.
So,
It was the only one doing that kind of humor
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
like kind of taking the mick out of itself, whereas like now it's that's
exactly.
pretty
So,
standard for a lot
I
of
think
it.
it's
gonna have to do something to stand out.
Yeah, what is Borderlands' place in the shooter category today? That's Randy Pitchford's problem, not mine. And of course, the biggest news of the week is that Balatro is coming to Dave the Diver.
I am so fascinated to see.
It's
crossover of the
we don't know
century.
to what extent. There's announced a partnership trailer, and one of the partnerships is that Balatro is going to be playable inside Dave the Diver. Presumably not the entire game, but to some extent, you can just play Balatro inside Dave the Diver. And I think that, I mean, they already put Godzilla in it, and now they're putting, it's like, Dave the Diver, how are they wooing me?
Are they here? Do we need to introduce you?
Yes.
Yeah.
There needs to be a meet cute between me and Dave the Diver Den.
It's all been a
Between
secret
you
love
and
letter.
Godzilla.
What's that?
Between you and Godzilla.
Also a meet cute between me and Godzilla.
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe they'll put some kind of murder in it too, and then it'll be the perfect game for you.
It's not murder, it's gore that I like.
Okay, well
Now,
that's worse.
sometimes
I
that
was just
comes out
trying
of
to,
it.
I was
It's
trying to
hard to
soften
get-
it for the audience.
Trying to get.
Not murder, it's gore.
See that the number that's ticking down? 5 seconds. That's how much time we have left. 5 seconds.
Okay, Splatterhouse.
Splatterhouse. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us for this very special Gamescom edition of GameScoop. I hope everybody had fun. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Justin. Thank you to everyone that's walking around the booth here and being part of the show. Everybody, please come to the front of the IGN booth. We have waivers for you all to sign. Please don't leave before you do that.
He's walking away. That guy's walking away.
Corrado, can you go get that guy? Thank you to everyone working behind the scenes to make this episode possible. We're going to call it a day here at our Gamescom studio, but be sure to join us tomorrow for the Gamescom Award Show, celebrating the best and most innovative games at Gamescom. It's going to be a big, crazy, exciting show. We can't wait to bring it to you. Until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Nice.